Yes, yes. I think we're live.
Hey, think and say, what's going on, you guys?
I think we're live. Hi guys, how's everyone doing? I hope everything checks out. Let's make sure our mic is sounding good. Let me just verify. Give me a second. Make sure that whoever is listening, they can hear us clearly, loud and clear, and we look sync. Uh, hey, let me just type this. Got okay.
Well,
Good.
while you do that, Shy, first let me say thank you for inviting me to the show. Really
Yes.
excited to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes. Okay. I got the good from the other team member. Hey, Arts, give me a thumbs up, Arts. Yeah, you can give us a thumbs up so she can see the thumbs up. uh,
hey, big up.
yes, big ups, big ups.
Ours made our thumbnail
Thumbnail.
just now,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
He
Yeah.
usually makes all the thumbnails.
Impressive.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, his name is fitting for what he does.
Absolutely.
He's not just a diamond in the rough. He's a diamond that's been constantly polished and getting better. Yes. So as you were saying, you
I
were
was saying?
yeah, you were saying thank.
Yes, I was saying thank you for the invite. I'm excited to have this dialogue with you. I'm nervous,
Uh,
but also I'm looking forward to. I think you're gonna bring some good conversation out today.
all right, cool, cool. So, so everyone, here's what. Uh, I recently met her, and it was the communication between us was kind of shocking because I said something to you that kind of off putting, made you surprised, right? And you were actually here to talk to someone else about doing shows in his studio, doing a radio show, right? Big ups to Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up, highly unique South Florida radio.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes.
And I brought you and your colleagues up to show the studio to all of you, and everybody seemed excited and want to work. And then you and I kind of had a little side chat about, me looking for a co-host,
Mm-hmm.
and if you would be fitting to be a co-host.
Right.
And I did mess with you and said you're not half bad looking, so you could pass for be the co-host, right?
I appreciate that. Thanks.
How did you take that when I said that to you?
Oh, that I could pass for pretty.
Yeah, you could pass for pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
You can relax. You want to drink some water? You see, you're right. You seem a bit nervous. Pretend that the cameras
I'm
are
ready for the
not there.
punches.
The cameras are not there, right?
Yeah.
So because as the title say, the thumbnail title say, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So we're gonna talk about a bunch of different things, random things,
Yes.
because everyone, we're evaluating her to be being a co-host,
Right.
to have a male and female dynamic, to have differences of opinion. Because listen, I say to everybody all the time, in the general public, I've said it on camera, that I'm footsome, I'm not handsome. I leave the handsome for the other guys that want to call themselves handsome. So I'm footsome, and she's not half bad looking. So together, we make a perfect union in being co-host, I think. So, uh, how is it that how everyone thinks, what they think? They can tell us. You can tell us in the chat, and then we'll know what you guys think. If you don't like her, say, hey, I don't like her. She's right. She's not right for the job.
Rightfully so. I suggested that we would just run through a show to see how the dynamic works,
Right.
and where the energy falls. So yeah, your feedback is definitely welcome out there, and yeah, let's see how this goes.
Yes. So we were talking about some things off camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to stop you a couple of times because you started getting a bit interesting, and I felt
Mm-hmm.
that we should talk about it on camera.
Sure.
All right, but before we do so,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be rightfully to talk a little bit about you. People already kind of know where I'm from. They hear my accent, and I've been in camera many times, so many people have seen me, and they know who I am. Whether they feel good, I'm a good person or a bad person, who really gives a shit, right? Because I'm going to be myself. I can only try to improve every day to be better, but I can't satisfy everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to be who I am, me, so shy. But no one knows you, and I would assume that you've never really been on camera before, or not at your own volition, where you freely sat down and say, okay, I am going to expose who I am to the world, and I'm going to stand whatever criticism that is coming my way. So talk about it, where you're from, a little bit about your background, and be somewhat transparent without giving too much information where you don't feel comfortable.
Sure. How are you guys doing? Think and Say. My name is Takara Starr. I originate from Anchorage, Alaska. I was born and raised there. My family is not originally from Alaska. My dad is Creole, which is from Louisiana, not to be confused with Haitian Creole. And my mom is Puerto Rican and Mexican. They came from the lower 48 states. They heard about the pipeline and all the potential opportunities there with the oil in Alaska. So,
Mhm.
like great risk takers do, they took a leap of faith and it worked out for them. And I was born. That's
In
pretty much
Alaska.
the synopsis of that in Alaska. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, you have a, remember earlier I was saying that
Mhm.
you have ambiguous features.
Sure.
So people, the conversations that we'll have,
Mhm.
you stick around, the conversation we'll have, we'll be talking about different cultures, different groups.
Mhm.
I don't like to really use the term black and white, ebony and ivory, but for all intensive purposes, to make it easier for the listeners, the viewers, we have to use those terms, black and white, to simplify it for them. But as a person that you identify as a what? Indian, Caucasian,
Mhm.
black, or Nubian, melanated. What do you identify as? Because certain conversations that we have that
Mhm.
is going to be a bit salacious or a bit, uh, how should I say, uh, not to target anyone, but
Mhm.
speaking openly or criticizing certain behaviors, they're going to come for you. So you have to be ready because they're going to say
Mhm.
you are not quote unquote black, or you're not Spanish or Latina.
Right.
They're going to say certain things. You just have to be willing to say, hey, that's just dirt on my shoulder. Let me brush it off, and just
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
who you are.
I would say I identify as exotic or
Okay.
mixed. I do not feel pressure to fit within a category. So if someone says I'm not black, I've had my black card pulled many a time. So
Damn.
yeah, that's the way the culture works, and that's part of my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I could people could say you're not Latin enough, you're not black enough, or whatever. That doesn't necessarily bother me. I'm not seeking to be in those categories. I'm okay with being a blend, and I think I represent a lot of where our culture is going. Where we're evolving to. We're all getting mixed up and mashed up,
True.
and I love it. I think it creates a diversity that's needed and a sense of inclusivity as well. I think because of my background, I am perhaps a little bit more inclusive. I don't have a hatred, towards one particular race. I'm so mixed up, so to speak, that they're all a part of me. So I can't hate a part of myself. I
Right.
think I have the unique benefit of being aware of the cultural stigmatisms, and I
Facts.
can laugh about them, but I don't take them too seriously. I do understand that everyone is an individual, and I see them as such.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska as well. And then, similar to my family, I eventually took a leap of faith. I was actually here in South Florida. This is where, we're shooting from. I was here on vacation. And the day before it was time for me to leave, I had my own personal, what I would say is like a spiritual experience where I felt God was telling me I needed to stay. I didn't know anything about where, Florida, and what was here for me, but I took a leap of faith. I let my ticket go, and I've been here ever since.
Really? So
Hmm.
I'm just curious. When you say you let your ticket go, I mean you let it
I let
expire.
my flight. I was supposed to leave the following day. I never showed up. I didn't even try to get a refund. I just totally let the ticket go.
Were you staying with family, or you were just you were at a hotel? Or...
Yeah, so I had one friend here. We both were raised in
Mm-hmm.
Alaska. We had went to school together. I had not seen her, however, in over 3 years
Mm-hmm.
in coming here. But I felt compelled to reach out to her, and I asked how she felt about me actually sleeping on her couch.
Really?
I said, hey, how do you feel about me sleeping on your couch for the next 6 months? She was very open to it. I actually had to check in with a couple of people in order to make this adjustment, and everything fell into place. And that's how I really knew that this was something I should move forward in.
All right, give me 1 second before I respond to you. Someone just sent a message because
Hey.
sharing it with them, and she wants to know what this is. So let me just respond to her.
So what exactly is this? Are you courting for a co-host? Is that what this is all about?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So all right. So we're yes. So we're actually looking for a co-host, someone that can match. Like I'm gonna say this because
Oh,
it's a
okay.
it's a thing that they say now. Somebody that can match my fly.
Oh, match your. I thought you were gonna say match my energy.
That's my fly. You
Okay.
know, match my energy
Mm.
because I say some off the wall things sometimes. I'm not the funniest kid on the block by a
Yes,
stretch
please.
of the mean. I will say some stuff and I will laugh at my own joke and I'm thinking I'm the funniest guy and
Mm.
the person be looking at me like,
Crickets.
yeah, yeah, you know.
Mm.
So I decided that to elevate the production of the show, I need to find someone. We talked about it, Ray and I. We've been
Who's
talking.
equally corny?
See, that's what I'm talking about. It was equally corny.
Mm.
We can actually blend our corniness,
Oh
you know.
Lord. Okay.
So, one of
Oh, bro, this guy stinks!
so one of the things I like to say to people, like, I'm so corny. All you need is the butter, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that's me. I'm being
All right. So I'm the butter of the show.
yes, you're the butter of the so
All
you'll
right.
keep things smooth, you know.
Okay.
All right. So when you came here and you say you were sleeping on your friend's couch for 6 months,
The plan I think was 6 months. I think I was able to move out in 4.
really,
Mhm.
you were able to get a job and
I got a job in 3 days, actually.
really,
Yeah. So to share a little bit more
See?
about this spiritual experience, as I said before, I felt like God was telling me I needed to stay here, that there was something here for me. And I am someone who believes that obedience is better than sacrifice. I've had previous experiences where I've had God speak to me and give me direction, and I've always shown up better on the other end for following that inclination. So in this case, this was like one of the biggest leaps of faith I've ever had to take. So I had a little bit of dialogue, and I was like, God, if this is really what you want me to do, can you please give me some signs? Let me find a job. And as I said before, everything fell into place so smoothly that I was able to have confidence in my decision to take this leap and stay here. And that was 14 years ago. I've been here ever since.
and have you Are you happy for making that decision? Are you
Absolutely. In fact, I would say now I feel more like a hybrid. I'm not just a I'm not just Alaskan anymore. I definitely feel that Florida, South Florida has influenced me and has partly raised me as well. So going back to being mixed again, I people meet me, they know I'm not from here, but Florida has influenced me so much that anybody who is from where I'm from knows that I've changed as well. So I like
have
living in that gray
I have the
area.
hybrid word for you.
Yeah.
I just created a pro man
Oh
too,
Lord, here we
right?
go.
Flolaskin.
Flolaskin.
Why?
Okay, you guys, I'll be the butter on that one and just say,
Hey, come on! You're from Alaska. You love live in Florida. You say you're a hybrid. You feel more Floridian, so Flolaskin.
okay.
Yeah, I told you I was corny, but hey, it's just me. All right, so you say you got a job in 3 days, and when you got that job in 3 days, is it a company that you stayed with for a while, or you
I
just?
did actually. I stayed with them for 5 years. And the blessing that came in the midst of working there is being that I was from Alaska, I was going back and forth often from South Florida to Alaska because I'm totally making this switch and I had a lot of arrangements I needed to make. So I was physically leaving back and forth. And as a new hire, that wasn't exactly protocol.
Right.
So HR had to address me and say, you've taken too many days off based off of, the time that you have allocated. The blessing came because I had a lot of favor. My manager loved me, and so did the owner of the company, turns out. So because my manager didn't want me to be fired, my whole situation had to be brought before the owner of the company because per the handbook, by HR rules, I should be let go. My manager fought that I would not be let go, and so it had to be taken up now with the owner. In that meeting with the owner, I would find out that the owner had been observing me since I was working there, was very fond not only of the work I was providing, but the overall energy and essence I would bring when I came into that building. And based off of what he had observed, he wanted me to help get clients for him and his company. And then it turned out as well that he and his dad worked in the law practice, and I needed some legal representation at that time, and they offered that as well. So I was very fortunate, I have to say, in this leap of faith that I took. Like everything just kept falling into place and working out for me.
You mind me asking? This
Yeah.
might be a bit personal. You don't have to answer,
Sure.
but you say you needed some legal representation. It was kind of uncanny that you took a leap of faith, ended up with, I assume, a law firm, right?
No, I actually was not working at a law firm. It just so happened
That they were lawyers.
that the owner of the company was a lawyer.
Wow.
Yeah, there was actually a couple of lawyers in that family, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so they helped you out with.
Some would say, "Look at God."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what some would say. And so, if you don't have to answer,
Yeah.
definitely don't have to answer. But when you say you were, you needed some legal.
Yeah,
things
let me clarify
yeah.
and clean that up because someone could run with that. I
Yes.
was not running from the law or anything like that. I was actually going through a divorce, and that was part of the reason why I was going back and forth often, is because I would be attending the court proceedings to finalize that divorce. And I had to share that information when my situation came up with the owner. I had to be very transparent about what was going on. And in doing so, I benefited in that I actually received help
from the owners.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's give a round of applause for the owners.
Yeah, big up. I love
Yeah.
you guys. I still to this day. Yeah. Big up the Schusters.
The Schusters.
The Schusters.
Big
yeah.
up to the Schusters.
Yeah.
And how long were you married for?
Oh gosh. Maybe 3 years. It was a short
3 years?
run. Yeah.
Okay. You said you got married very young.
I did.
What age when you went? So because some people say they got married very young and it's 25, right? And that's not really that young as a woman to have to be married and start having children.
I mean,
So-
young is relative, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's true.
even so where I'm standing now in my age, I say, yeah, 25 is pretty young to be married, you know?
You think so?
Yeah, because being that I've been 25 now, I understand how much wisdom comes with age, ideally, right?
Mhm.
And so somebody who's even 30 might have a more realistic understanding of what's required to be in a marriage than someone who's 25. But again, age is relative. So somebody who's 60 could look back and say, oh, both 30 and 25 are babies, you know. It's a relative thing. To answer I think where you're going is how old was I? I was 18 when I first got married.
That's what, when you said I was young, that's the age I came in my mind.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to actually finish
Confirm that.
talking to confirm that when you say it was very young,
Yeah,
18.
Yeah. As soon as I was legally able, I was married.
Now,
Yeah.
here's a question, because I knew someone when I was younger,
Mhm.
and I was in the church,
Yeah.
and they liked each other, and she couldn't wait until she was legal age so she could get married to get out, right, of her parents' house.
Mhm.
So
I was not running from my parents' house.
okay. You see where I was going with this, right?
Not at all. No,
Okay.
I have great parents. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
why did you decide to get married at 18?
Why?
Think and say what, right?
Yes.
No, we actually, being brought up in a religious household, I was pregnant at 17. And so the rightful thing to do at that point in time, as it was preached to me, was to become married.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was the responsible thing to do. And at the time, my ex-husband, he wanted to be with me. So it just felt like the natural thing to do. At that time, I subscribed to a lot of dogma. So the idea, my father used to call it playing house when you live with someone and you're not married. So I did not want to play house. I wanted to do things right. So
Right. In the islands, even here, they say you're shacking up.
shacking up, right?
Yeah. So your ex-husband, then boyfriend, became husband. Was he the same age as you, or was he older than you?
Yeah, he was much older.
You mind me asking? You don't, like I say, you don't have to answer if you're not comfortable.
No, I think he was about 7 years. But that's how my dating life has kind of gone. I generally, find myself in relationships that are about 7 to 8 years older than me.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think that's kind of, I won't say traditional, but generally women date older men. It's not uncommon.
Was he in the church as well?
Funny enough, he himself was not right. No, he was not in church, but his grandfather was a preacher. And his grandma was the first lady, so he was definitely exposed to church. He was brought up in church, and we did attend church together. But I think at the time when I met him, that wasn't really a part of his routine, Sunday church.
How did your parents take it when they found out you was pregnant?
Oh man, my father was devastated. I think that's part of the reason why I got married. And again, he's coming from another generation, so he was concerned that with me, being pregnant at the time so young, that I wouldn't finish my studies. I was still in high school. That I just, my trajectory from having a successful life was now at risk because now I'm having a child.
Right.
Facts.
He was,
A lot of parents feel that now, because I have a 15-year-old.
right.
And I talk to her all the time because we have very candid conversation. There's nothing that she's unwilling to. There's not anything that she's unwilling, if I'm saying that right. I gave her the freedom to be open to talk to me about anything and be logical and liberal enough to allow her to come to me and say, hey, Father, such and such and such and such and such. And I will talk to her because she's a human being. She's going to have certain emotions. So I'm not predisposed to any judgments for her to come and talk to me. And any young woman to come and talk to me and say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm going to give
Right.
them honest, male perspective, right? So I asked you a bunch of questions. Is there anything you want to ask me? Because we've been having this conversation. Is there anything that you want to ask me?
I mean, not at this time.
Don't be
you had
mean,
you
be
had
kind.
mentioned that the audience already knows you. We know that you're born in Jamaica. Yeah. And what
Jamaican.
part?
I'm from Kingston.
Kingston, city
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have you were asking me, have I experienced the not black enough or,
Mhm.
not fitting a particular box? Did you get criticism coming up in the city versus the country, and then now living here in America for so long? Do people call you a Yankee? Do you feel like you have to prove, your Jamaican card?
I'll put it to you this way. When I first came here and started going to school, let me put it. I'm going to be very candid. I never heard the word nigga until I came here.
Okay, you didn't know that you fit that box, huh?
No, I didn't know. I never heard that word. All I can remember, because in Jamaica, I had a very good friend. Right, I won't call his name, but I had a very good friend. I had two good friends from Jamaica. One I'm still friends with right now that I call my brother. Right, we don't even, when we introduce ourselves to anyone, we don't say that we're friends. We've known each other since before we were 10.
Right.
Right.
I love how that works. I got family that were friends first.
And
same dynamic.
When I came here and I started going to school, when I came here, 9th grade, I had to wait until 9th grade, did the transition over to the high school. 9th grade was in the junior high, and I had to wait until it go over into the high school before I could actually start school, because when it was time for me to get into school, when my parents got the certain put in place, and they took me to the school. They said, too much time has passed. You have to wait until. So I had to wait till that time. And so when I started school.
Is that what we would call held back? You were held back?
Yeah,
Okay.
in a sense, held back. And so, because in Jamaica, I was already ahead, right? So I actually was supposed to be in the 10th grade, but because of the transition and the waiting period, I had to start at 9. So when I started, I befriended a Caucasian guy. And in the islands, we weren't experiencing, you're Jamaican, you don't care about your skin color, whether it doesn't.
I'm going to challenge you on that. We'll bookmark that, but I'm going to challenge you on that later.
Now, not then, right? I'm a 70s baby, right? And I honestly, so my friend was a Caucasian kid, right? And he passed away, some tragedy, and I won't get into it. And I have other friends, I had family members that are mixed, right? I'm from that same background, that same mixed lineage, right? And so I befriended a guy when I started going to school, and I didn't know that was a no with the American, they call the
culture at that time.
Yeah, the culture at that time, right? I don't want to offend anyone, but they call them Black Americans, and it was like the different cultures kind of like segment themselves. In school during lunch break, the Jamaicans over here, the Haitians over there, the Guyanans over here, the Caucasians over here, and it doesn't matter what Caucasian lineage you came from, they're all together. It doesn't. All the islanders are here. It doesn't matter what the lineage or what island you came from, they're all over here. But me, coming from a background where my family is diverse. I have a cousin that looks same color here naturally, freckles all over, and then me being from a mixed background myself, I had no issues with befriending different groups. So I befriended this one guy, and we're walking down the hallway right by the gym, and all of a sudden, my head would tilt forward, coming from a heavy slap in the back of my head, and me being called. They use, the word, they say cracker, lover. And I was like, what the hell is that? Right?
Aha! You thought you were getting put down for liking your water crackers? Okay, that's my corny joke for the
Yeah.
of this
But
for the session.
I'm laughing, so you don't have to worry about it. I'm there with you. And I was like, what the heck is that? And next time, boop, in my back. I'm look around and I see a bunch of guys behind me and maybe one or two girls. And they're all laughing. But they look just like me. Same skin color. Some of them a little darker than me. But they every chance they get, they would hit me, try to trip me to fall many times, slap me in the back of my head. You know, sometimes it's like I feel like 3-4 hands slapping in the back of my head and back of my neck. And I resented that. So I had my time of dealing with coming from there and experiencing what it was like. So when I asked you about, if you had any issues being you look ambiguous, is because I know my experience, and we're here in this modern time now where it's colorism and race and all of that stuff. It's just crazy, the woke agenda and all of that stuff that's going on. So that's why I asked you that question. So
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been told I wasn't black enough, or I don't really know the black experience, or I'm not dark skinned enough to know, what a lot of brown skinned girls go through. I think that's fair, though.
yeah,
Personally, have I been told to go back to Africa? Yes. Have I been looked at as black in the eyes of maybe a white person? Yes. So, do I have my own personal experiences? Absolutely. But I'm not going to challenge anyone who would say, I don't know what it's like to be a darker skin, because that's true. Just as much as I don't know what it's like to be passing. I don't have those experiences. I have my unique individual experience.
right.
Facts.
Right. So I answered that question. I hope my answer didn't go off veering off somewhere.
You're kind of long-winded.
Yeah,
but
I kinda-
we rode with you.
Yeah. I'm kind of long-winded sometimes. What other questions that you want to?
Well, let's get into it. I think the questions you'll ask for me will reveal a lot about you. So let's get into it.
That's true. So earlier on, we were talking about a couple of topics, right? I hope everybody kind of got a sense of who she is, right? Like I said, she's
I'm a mom.
yes.
I'm a
Oh
mother
yeah,
of three.
mom of 3.
Yeah.
How old were you when you had your first child?
I was pregnant at 17. I gave birth at 18.
At 8. Oh, yeah, you already said that. I'm so stupid. I need
Stupid.
yes, thank you. I deserve that one.
I mean, in fairness, I didn't actually say at what age I gave birth. I think I said I was married at 18. But
No,
yeah.
you did say.
I
you,
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
you did.
All
you
right, well
did,
then, yeah, you're not paying attention.
Don't try to cover for me.
I was trying to help you out
yeah,
there.
Yeah, I know. You were trying to help me out, but yeah, and
Yeah.
and so your eldest is what?
My eldest is 24.
24.
Yeah.
Right. It's a boy.
Girl.
It's a girl. So is that mommy's girl?
Is that mommy's girl?
Yeah. Is she like a mama's girl, or you have what? Let me just guess. I didn't ask because I kind of wanted to kind of like wait. Every time I'm gonna say, I said,
Sure.
hold on. So you have 2 girls and 1 boy.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the boy is what, the middle or
The middle child.
Okay, and how old is he?
So my son is 22. He'll be 23 this year.
Oh, grown. So you have 2
Yeah.
grown children.
Exactly. So going back to age is relative. Now that I've been 22 and 24, and I now have a 22-year-old and a 24-year-old, I can say, yeah, that's kind of young.
Really?
Yeah, that's kind of young to get married.
So if your daughter came home and said, "Mom, I met someone and I think he's the one. I want to get married to him," will you tell her? What would you tell her?
So I wouldn't have an objective based on her age at this point. I think there'd definitely be other factors at play. But again, just saying that I can say I've been that age. I understand the mindset, and as an older woman from 24 and engaging with 24-year-olds, I can see the difference.
True. Yeah, it's far removed from being 18. Okay?
And and I'm not even saying getting married at young is a bad thing. I think there's a lot of benefits to having kids young as well as being married young. So I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just I'm saying I can agree that if someone was to say, I got married young and I was 25, that I could see why they would say that.
Yeah, as a man, if I could have done it, if I could do it all over again, I would want to have my first child when I was young, like 18.
Facts.
It actually happened, but she decided that, because I was 18, she was 28.
Oh, you
And
like them older too,
yeah, yeah, I was 18 and she was 28, and her brother-in-law is the one that actually talked her into taking a procedure, and I was against it. And
Just to clarify, you're talking about abortion?
yeah,
Okay, so she had an abortion.
yeah, and after she did that, it was kind of like I started losing. There was other things that she did, right? Because they were so much against our relationship. Her family was against our relationship. My mother at that time was a little bit, but not that much. Once she got to meet her, but like parents, they're gonna have their things to say. But her family were like always on her about I'm too young and she's older. She need an older
Right.
man. So she started seeking older, more mature guys are around her age group, and I would catch her doing certain things, right? And then the fact that she did the unaliving, I started losing interest for her, and I started looking elsewhere because I wanted my first child, and it was a boy, and because she did it. Let me as a woman, the last week that you can do it is 13 weeks, right? About 13 weeks.
I'm not aware of what the
Right.
requirements are as far as how far out you can go.
The 13
I
week.
think that time frame has changed over the years. But again, I was raised in a religious household. So when I asked my dad, what am I supposed to do? He said, what do you mean? You're going to have the baby.
Exactly.
There's no choice. I didn't have a choice at that time.
So let's talk about trimester, right? So we have the first trimester, which is what trimester is
The first
3 months, right? And in the first 3 months, that's 4, 8, 12.
Well, 3 to 4
Yeah,
months because the gestation process is 40. It's actually 40 weeks. It's
40 weeks.
yeah.
When does the zygote becomes an embryo then become a fetus? At what?
Again, like I said, I'm not the person to ask to give you accurate information on that. We would have to look that up as far as what the law or the society is, how they are deeming that to be. So I know that it's changed since when I was first having children to now. I think they've actually extended the time.
Okay.
There was a time where it was a very small, short window that you could have an abortion, and then that time frame became a little bit more larger as years would go by. So I haven't checked in. Thank God I haven't been in a situation to look into that. And then I think, again, probably just from my personal upbringing, that's not necessarily an option for me.
I knew I was gonna have a boy because the doctor said, "Yeah, you guys are gonna have a boy. Do you actually want to do this?" And I said, "I don't want to do it." And she said, "I want to do it." And I had no choice. It's her body, And so I ended up not having my first child when I was young. But if I could have done it all over again, and she said yes.
I think that's a great story for where we are today, especially there's a lot of controversy about that. And I think men should have more rights and more say when it comes to having babies. And I know women are going to be like, what? Because it is our body. And no, I don't think that men should tell us what we should do with our bodies. But I think that if we are both going into the act of creating a child, there's a lot of responsibility involved with having sex, to be honest.
Facts.
And I think if we're both going to participate in that, and if someone is to become pregnant, I think that we equally should be considered in how we should move about going
Facts.
forward in that situation, whether that's taking it up in a court of law. I think there's a couple of different solutions we can look at, but I've heard a lot of stories like yours, where men would have preferred to have had the child. they would have been open to taking full custody and being
100%.
a single dad. So, but then again, it is the woman's body, and whether she's even able to commit to that time of being pregnant is another thing. And then there's a lot of health risks and concerns with that as well. Sometimes it's actually not in the health interest of that woman to become pregnant and go the full duration. So I think there's a lot of things to unpack in every situation. But overall, I feel like there should be something in place where the whole consideration should be looked at and both parties should be deemed as equally important. Um, with that being said, there's a lot of circumstances where, maybe the mom would get that right to do the abortion. But I think as long as there's some fair trial involved where all things are considered, then I think we're moving a little bit to more of an equal ground here.
Okay. I'm happy you made that point because we know the society that we live in. And this is not just here in America, this is across the world where the children are automatically given to the woman. And I am not I'm not an I'm not a I oppose that. I oppose that. To me that's very wrong, right? I can't be a preponderance and say, okay, we should allow the woman to always get the child because
Can you clarify what you mean as far as automatically get the child? Generally, when a woman has a baby in a hospital, yes, they're gonna let her leave with her child.
It's not her child.
Okay, so really?
Right, yes,
you gonna
it's
jump in
not her child.
Okay, clarify what you mean by that. Please
Okay,
expound.
I'm going to use an oven and baking a bread, right, or a cake or a pie. We need ingredients to bake in a pie, right? And you put everything together, whip everything up together. You put it in the container, and then you put it in the oven. The oven, in essence, you could relate that to being the belly of the woman, right? But I asked this question. I said, if there's like soda in the machine, right? And you put a coin into the machine, right, to get out a soda pop. Because the soda is inside of the machine, staying chill, and you put the quarter in. When the soda comes out, does the soda belong to the machine, or does it belong to the person, the person that bought the guy that bought the soda?
So I don't know if that's a great analogy when it comes to having babies. You have
I
two
disagree.
conscious individuals coming together to make a baby. I think that's kind of where you were going with it takes a lot of ingredients to make a cake, right? So it does take two, right? And I'm saying in just a normal situation where two people make a baby, the woman is pregnant, they're going to go to the hospital, she's going to give birth, and the hospital is going to release them both with their child. That's how that works. So when you say automatically give to the baby, what do
give
you
to the
mean
woman.
that? What do you mean by that?
Because up until and this is recent, where they would automatically give the child to the woman.
When you say, who are these days?
The law put it in place where they said they need to give the woman, because the woman is maternal. The woman
You can
is
prove, you can actually prove this child came from the woman.
right.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Okay.
most pregnancies are not going to court. So that's what I'm saying. What do you mean by they? Generally, a man and woman have a child.
Let me
together.
clarify.
Yeah.
Let me clarify the day. The law was put in place, right, where the men have no rights over the children.
The federal law,
Yes.
state law.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna pull this up, right?
Yeah, we can do that. But give me a second. So,
'Cause you gotta be very direct about what you're referring to.
oh yeah, we can pull it up. When a child is born, it is automatically assumed that the mother is the best parent for that child. right? Regardless of her condition, they will allow the child. And if you know, they will allow the woman to take the child, even if turns out she's not the best parent, or they can automatically see that she's not the best parent, they'll still give the baby to the woman, right? And I think
Are you saying when she leaves the hospital, they should hand the baby over to the dad? I think it's assumed they're both appropriately fit to be the parent of that child. Nothing is contested until there's some evidence of neglect or abuse.
I disagree. I 100% disagree, because when a woman and a man get together and have a child, right? The woman automatically say, it's my baby. And it's not her baby alone. It's both of theirs baby, right? But the woman would automatically say, if you listen to any...
But a woman's opinion and what she says is not federal law.
The law backs it up.
So this is, can we bring this up? Because I need to know exactly what we're talking about. Are we talking about an opinion? Or are we what law are we talking about? There's a law.
Ray,
that
let's do
what?
let's do a search on so we can put it on the stream.
But are you referring to hospital protocol, right? Because
no, not just hospital.
When you have a baby, they put a band on your wrist to identify who you are and what baby is yours. As long as you have that band, they're gonna give you the child. If you do not have that band, they're not going to give you the child. And if you show up as the father, they're going to put a band on your wrist as well as the mom.
That's true. But in when it comes to the law, where they say, who is the child best to be?
Meaning that now we're in court, right? We're in the court system to contest custody.
You don't have to be in the court system. It's an automatic assumption that the child goes with a woman.
Again, who are these? Are you
law.
talking about the mainstream culture of opinion?
Not culture, law.
So by law, the hospital should release the child to the parents or whomever got the band, right? Whoever they put the band on the wrist. If you didn't show up as the dad and you didn't get a band, no, you're not getting that baby. As the hospital protocol, they need to be able to identify what baby belongs to whom, what parents or what mom, right? So that they do that with the band. That's their protocol, and that's how they're going to.
All right, I'm gonna pull up the law in terms of look for the law where they automatically assume that they give the woman the rights to the child immediately.
It's interesting. I'm hearing a whole nother sect of people that would actually argue that neither the mom or the father actually have rights to this child. The child actually belongs to the government, and that's why we're given a social security number.
This is true, but we can touch on that as this is why the child is given to the woman, because there's a whole lot of other things that we don't really realize is going on. No, not look for the general.
Let's see this, because in general,
father's right, not on birth certificate. Let's see what happens there.
But that's if the father's not on. Are you saying that the mom and the father are both co-parenting and raising the child, right?
No, okay. Let's say two individuals, they get together and they
do what lovers do.
Yes, they do what lovers do, and they conceive a child. When the child is born, right? The woman can say, I don't want to have that child. I don't want to have anything to do with the child, right? And the father will say, I will take the child, right? And they will ask the mother, what do you want to do? They will X the guy out of it, right? Excommunicate him out of the conversation, right? And they will say, what do you want to do, right? And she will say, I want to give up the child for an adoption, right? And the father can contest that.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So yes, in that context of a situation, you are correct. As of right now, there is a pro-choice law that allows the woman to make the final decision about whether or not she will give birth to that child or not. I agree with you on that. That is where we are currently in today's world.
Okay, so she give birth to the child. Let's go forward past and now we're at present where she gave birth to the child.
Mm-hmm.
Should or shouldn't the man have the decision making in what happens to that child? If the woman
Again,
says,
I
go
think
ahead.
that both should be considered equally. I don't think the man should have his opinion or decision should trump hers. I think both need to be put in consideration, and I think the whole situation needs to be put in consideration. And what I mean by that is we are giving this hypothetical man and woman the benefit of the doubt to say that they are fit to have these kids, but that's not always the case. Sometimes a man would want the baby and only to hurt the woman. You know, there could be history of abuse. He could be using this as an opportunity to be controlling. We've heard how women use children to hurt the father. The same could be true on either side. And so that's what I mean when I say the whole situation needs to be taken consideration. I do think that men should have equal rights as women have rights, but I don't think that a man should over trump a woman. I think that all things need to be put into consideration.
All right. The example that I gave you
Mhm.
was actually from our recent situations that have been happening over the last few years,
Right.
where a woman that are having children literally said, I don't want this child,
Right.
right? And the boyfriend says, I will take the child. And the
Right.
woman says, no, I want to put the child up for an adoption. And he has to fight to get the child, but his child too.
Mhm.
And her decision will trump him wanting to have custody of the child, right? And
Yeah.
they'll block him out of every further communication to say that she has the ultimate right. It is law for the woman to have the ultimate right.
Right.
Any state that you go, I think this changes. I think there's one state, I forgot the name of the state, but we can look it up. Anywhere that you go, the woman is automatically assumed to be the custodial parent. And me personally, I think that's wrong, because I agree with what you're saying. I think that's wrong. I think if the woman don't,
Okay, let me backtrack because I don't want to say that's wrong. I think mothers should be inherently the custodial assignee of that child. Unless there's some sign of neglect or abuse, I don't think she shouldn't. But I think equally, the father, whoever's on that birth certificate, let me just clarify that, you should be on that birth certificate to get that type of validation within the eyes of the court. So I think that equally, in the eyes of the court, they should be deemed custodial parents. And as we would call common law, or not in the eyes of the court. If you guys came together to make the baby, if there was a blood, whatever, if that's your child, then yes, you guys should equally be considered fit unless otherwise shown so.
all right, I don't know
Mhm.
how much you've actually been consuming, in content that you've been consuming, or see what's going on.
Right.
The example I gave to you
Mhm.
is actual factually example,
Yeah, that's
right?
somebody's story.
Right.
And thankfully, there's a lot of those stories out there. And that's what's, pressing society to relook at this. And we need to figure out solutions that work for everyone involved. That's what I am pro about. I do think that we do need to look at this and see how can we make this fair for both sides. I'm a huge advocate of fathers' rights. I do think it's important that fathers are in the lives of their children. I'm a daddy's girl. I know the power of having a good man in your life. And thankfully, it wasn't just my dad. I have other great men in my family. And I see their impact on, their kids and even me as being a cousin, a niece, or what have you. So I think the role of men is very important in the family. And I am a pro advocate of having men, represented in the family. I don't think that we have to take women's rights away in order for that to happen. I just think that we need to look at how to give men equal footing.
Yeah, of course. I'm not advocating to take away any woman's right. 100% not. But what I'm saying, the law has been skewed in a way where it's against men. And this I'm not making this up. I know this for a fact. I'm a father, right? It's against men to give. I'll give you another example. Recently, I was watching.
And you're talking about the American law, because there are laws in other countries that are actually skewed against women. Other countries, men inherently have the right to their children. And if a woman is to divorce her husband, which would be also not in her best interest, but her kids would automatically go to the father.
That's how it
So-
was before. I think in the 1960s here or 50s here.
Yeah, so we're talking about current day
Yes,
law in America, in
Right.
the United States of America. Mhm.
right. So when the law was changed to advocate for the child going to a woman, and I understand now why it was done that way, because who spend more into the society? Who spend more into the economy? Man or woman?
Well, this is your rationale as
No,
to why this was?
No. No. No.
I don't know if I
No,
want to
no.
run on that train with you, but please share your opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, women spend more in the economy,
Mhm.
right? And there is something that's called judicial account, right? And the judicial account is a retirement account. I know this for a fact. It's a retirement account. So they advocate for the woman to get the child, right? There was a woman by the name of Janet Reno
Mhm.
back in the past who advocate for men paying child support or
Okay, bigger Reno.
going to jail, losing their license. If
Oh,
they
okay.
don't pay child support, they get incarcerated. And
Right.
while they're incarcerated, they get incarcerated for not paying child support. And while they're incarcerated, they lose their license. They can't work, and it's accruing, right? And other individuals have written laws advocating for that direction where the woman would be the primary caregiver of the child. Rightfully so. I'm not saying a woman shouldn't be the primary caregiver of a child if she's the one at home taking care of the child. But what has happened is that the law has got so skewed towards women being the ultimate decision maker for that child. Even if she's not a good person, they will still give her the final say. And I think that's wrong. So now I talk about the judicial retirement account. The reason why
When you say even if she's not a good person, what do you mean by that?
she could be been smoking while she was pregnant, drinking while she was pregnant, doing things, because when a woman is pregnant,
So
Your
I mean,
body-
are you saying that this couple went to the court of law, and that in the findings it was found that the mother is on drugs
yes,
and is abusive,
yes,
and then they still gave the mom custody rights over the dad.
yes,
So then what condition was the father in? Because if you have a sober, well-stable man willing and able to take custody and care for the children, in which the
I'm
mother
gonna
is
tell you.
found to be unfit because of maybe a drug addiction and instability. Go ahead.
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
answer you.
say, okay,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Okay. So there was a recent, this is one example I'm going to give you, right? You liking this so far?
I mean, we kind of went down. I don't know how we got here, but I'm rolling with it. Let's
All
go.
right, let's roll with it.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, right?
I just want to say, I am in no way to give facts on this. Fortunately, I've not had these challenges as far as looking into abortions. I know that when I went through my divorce
Yeah.
proceedings, the judge equally looked at us to see who was best fit. I know that being that I'm originally from Alaska, my kids were born and raised there. And so during those proceedings, until we actually came to a conclusion about what custody looked like, my children were deemed to stay in Alaska with their dad because that was where their stability was.
Right.
And I think that was fair,
Right.
So I saw where the court was being mindful of the whole situation and was taking everything into consideration. Not to say other things outside of my experience exist. I know it does. And that's why we're here today having this dialogue. I do think that men have been underserved in the legal system when it comes to child custody. So in a lot of ways, like I said, I am pro fatherhood and being deemed as a father legally. I am definitely pro that. So if there's been bad experiences, I'm sure there's been plenty. I don't contest that.
Okay,
Mhm.
I hear you. I hear you saying legally a lot because you see, there's one time you say the father uh, should be on the birth certificate to
Definitely.
claim the child. But do you know that there are women that are purposefully leaving the man's name off the birth certificate so they could later on use it to say that's not the father, and they would tell the guy that you're not the father, and then when they're ready to go after child support, they said he wasn't around, but he never knew that he has any children. Then he's asked, "Don't you and her had sex?" Then there's a possibility you should know that you are the father. Why weren't you at least giving the woman money for child support? Oh, it's not my child. She said it's not my child. I'm not on the birth certificate. She said I'm not the father. Now she wants child support, and she's saying that I'm the father. So now they put the guy on child support without proving that he's the father, but the woman was keeping the child away all along, telling him that he's not the father, making sure his name is not on the birth certificate to prove that he's a father. Or on the other hand, the verse is the vice versa is she will put a man's name on the birth certificate who's not even the father, and then take the man to child support to pay child support, and the court will award her child support. The guy has to prove that he's not the father, and even when he proves that he's the father, they still want him to pay the child support that's in arrears that he should have been paying, or he was forced to pay, even though he wasn't the father. And they won't take him off of child support until he paid up the arrears. That's a recent case that happened in Texas. That's a recent case that happened in Texas in the last 3 years,
Yeah.
right? So these type of things have been.
I love your passion about this.
These type of things have been happening, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why we veer off into that, because we were talking about children, how many children we have, and
Right.
I was supposed to have my boy when I was 18, and
Right.
and we veer off into that, right?
So I can see why this definitely, strikes a chord with you. And I would like to say that there's more than one reason why parents won't be put on that birth certificate, or fathers particularly, because sometimes the man and the woman will both agree not to put his name on there. They could be trying to use welfare. And if you don't have a father, you don't have someone to collect from. So there could be 101 reasons why the dad's name is not on the birth certificate. But I think, again, being solution minded, well, let's look at that. Maybe at the time of birth, when everybody's, pricking the baby's toe and taking blood samples, maybe at that point in time, that's where there needs to be verification of fatherhood at that point in
Paternity
time.
test.
Paternity test, exactly. And then, then the father's name would be put there. Both parents' names would be put there,
Do you
That could be
think-
a solution. But again, I don't think everybody wants that. I think sometimes a man is not put on that birth certificate for his own reasons. So, but to avoid situations like the one that you just mentioned, I do think there needs to be things put in place, right? Because we do have men who are being put on birth certificates that are not the dad. They raise the child all the way up until they're grown, to find out later that they're not the biological father. And I think had something been put in place way in the beginning when the child was born, you could prevent a lot of heartache.
Of course, but there's only one state in the United States right now
Mm-hmm.
that actually changed the law. They've been trying to do it for years to make paternity mandatory. Do you know that most women say that the laws will never change to make paternity? Even my mother, that's 76 years old, told me that they will never change the law to make paternity mandatory.
I mean, they said
Right?
that
What?
about women voting, women having rights to vote. They said that about,
That's
black
two
and white
different
sitting
things.
together. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that's an opinion.
It's not,
And why do you say so?
because they've been trying, they've been putting these kind of putting legislation out there to change the law to make paternity tests mandatory. And every time it gets up for voting, they vote it down. There's a reason why. Earlier I mentioned about the judicial retirement account. In the judicial retirement account, they benefit the courts, the judge, the lawyers, they benefit from monies going into this retirement account. So when the judges retire, they have money. There's more money in some of these accounts than they have for going to take care of elderly folks, right? Because I believe on every dollar, I believe the state gets 66 cents on every dollar that goes into child support, right? I think it's
But
right.
if there isn't a father on that certificate and there's no one to collect child support from, then that 66 cents is not going into that fund.
No. Let me explain what's going on. See,
Okay, yeah, connect the dots for
see,
me.
I'm a guy, and I know this for a fact. You know, I'm not on child support. You know, but I know many people that were on child support,
Okay.
and the woman goes after child support, and in order for them to get child support, they need to prove that the man has not been around. Even if the man has been around, they'll say that the man has never been around, and they'll sometimes hold the child away from the man, right? So they advocate for divorces, child support, right? They even lawyers will
Can you
tell
clarify they? Who's they? Who's they?
the laws that they put in place.
So you're saying laws that are put in place
Yeah,
advocate
yes.
divorce?
Yes, advocate for divorce, right? There's more divorce attorney than any other attorneys, right? Advocate for divorce. The
But
laws,
that's because 85% of marriages fail.
right? But also the lawyers help you to make your marriage fail. They want us to get married, but as quick as we get married, they want us to get divorced, because if we get divorced, money goes into the coffer, right? If they put on child support, money goes into the coffer, right? Because they want to make sure that when these legalese are retired, they're properly taken care of, right? So they advocate for the child support, right? So if you were a man, right,
Okay.
right, let me ask you a question before. Did you get child support for your children?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, going through the divorce proceedings, it's a natural process.
Okay.
And because the custody was not equal, that's how they determined the child support.
How, when you say the custody was not equal, what do you mean?
Time spent. So if you are equally taking care of the kids, like 50-50, then no child support is allocated. But if that balance is more high, let's say on the mom's side, she would get it. If that balance of time spent is more high on the father's side, he would get it. And there are stories today of women paying child support.
Yes, true, but far and few between.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
When a woman has to pay child support, all hell break loose when she has to pay child support, right?
What do you mean by that? All heads break loose.
All hell break loose.
All hell breaks loose.
Yeah, what I mean like that, she raved, she screamed,
Because you know these women.
If I know these women,
I mean,
I know women like that right now today.
You can say, I imagine.
No, I know women like that today.
Okay, then you can say, I know some women who are paying child support and they're not happy about it. But you can't speak for all women.
I wouldn't do that.
Support.
I wouldn't do that.
You kind of gave a blanket statement there.
But
I think, in fairness, what I heard earlier was a suggestion that maybe men are also equally upset about paying child support.
Of course, we are.
Right. So I think that ideally, men and women can come together to be equally present.
Okay.
And then I think there's a lot to unpack here, right? I think there's a need to make co-parenting a positive mainstream norm in our society. I think a lot of our societal culture is actually set up to make or to encourage men and women to be disconnected when it comes to raising their kids. I would love to see that change. I grew up in a blended family. I saw how parents can come together for the betterment of the children, and I think that we should encourage that in our society.
Of course, I 100% agree with you. You came up around people that put the child first.
Yeah, and I can also say though that they weren't perfect. I seen room for improvement in the scenarios as such. So I know how harmful it can be to kids as well when parents don't come together in the greater good
right.
of the children. So I think ultimately from what we've shared today, what I think we both can agree on is that there needs to be a lot of solutions put into place to make the overall dynamic of a man and a woman who have children together in a healthier state, right?
True. I advocate for exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the norm in society right now
Mm-hmm.
and the laws in society right now says that the men are trampled on. We are literally trampled on.
The law doesn't say men are trampled on, but the law, I do agree, is in favor, more so pro women, pro woman.
So the law say men are trampled on.
That I didn't see that in the fine
no,
print.
it's not going to say that in the fine print.
I'm
just
would feel that way,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that in fairness, there's probably a justification for that. It just may not be appropriate for the time that we live in now, but if you're going to be fair, you have to look at what a lot of women have been going through. Whether or not the man said he wanted to be there or not, she finds herself being a single mom, and that is more common than not. And because of a woman is more prone to stick by her child than to walk away, which you see more often on the father's side, I can see why the courts have been more lenient to give the child to the mom. And generally it's the woman who's been going up to court to ensure she gets the child support, ensure she has the custody. I've seen it more often now in today's age. Men are now going to court for custody, and I think that I applaud that. I again, like I said, I'm very much pro fatherhood. You disagree about what?
When you say nowadays men have been going to court for child support, we've been doing it for eons, for a long time.
More men are inclined to do that than I've seen in the past. Now, we can fact check and get numbers. I think if we did, I think we would find that there probably are more proceedings where the man has initiated.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just as much as the law was more prone to give the child to the woman, just on a mainstream consciousness of our society,
mm-hmm.
And this is anecdotal, this is purely anecdotal, but from talking to men, they also believe when the child is young, the best place for that child is with the mom, and you say I'll circle back around when the child is older. So I think what has been done in the past, we're now seeing that here today, and we're saying it doesn't fit, and I think that's fair. That's what happens in a democratic society. We get to choose. We want something different, mm-hmm. and come together and make it to be.
Being that you were a young mom,
mm-hmm.
right? What do you think about young women having children?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't I think parenthood in general is challenging.
Yeah.
Let me say that at any age.
Yes, I know.
And I think depending where you are in life, having kids, you'll have your own specific type of challenges.
This is a rhetorical question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a 15-year-old or 14-year-old? This is a rhetorical question. Because we know once a child gets around 13, 12, 13, I would say between 13 and 16, wow, their personality, their hormones, it becomes extremely challenging. Did you go to any? Did you go to any of those experiences?
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Small challenges, I would say I had. I didn't have the, oh my gosh, they're teenagers now and they lost their mind. I didn't have that experience. I saw life impact my kids, and life itself will create challenges. I think as parents, we all want to protect our kids, and then, you live long enough to find out that you can't always do that. So I've had those type of experiences, or humbling experiences, should I say. But I was really fortunate to have really, really great kids.
That's great. That's
And I
great.
think the little bit of challenges that I got from them is to be expected.
Right.
Part of what you're talking about is, as an individual, as you're growing up, in the beginning, you want to fit in, you want to be a part of society, you want to belong. But as you grow up, you start seeking your own individuality.
Right.
And so that's where some of that bucking that you're probably talking about comes. A child wants to feel like they are their own person. They have their own thoughts, and they want them to be valued and heard,
Right.
and depending on the dynamic of that household, that may or may not be encouraged. And then going even deeper, women are more, so like the daughter, let's say, would be more inclined to buck heads with the mom, and the son with the father. And there's been some scientific reasons as to why that is.
Of course.
That's very primal.
Mhm.
So I think, again, that's what I said, it's to be expected. But I was very fortunate, very, very fortunate. My kids keep me happy and young.
Give her a round of applause
Yeah.
for her children.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say my challenges with my kids came later on in life as young adults.
Going
Yeah.
back to, I want to go back to, and then we can jump off this topic because
Sure.
we've been on it for a while.
Big
right?
up to all the parents out there, by the way. I know we
Yeah,
just have
respect.
Father's Day. Yeah.
Right. So, happy belated Father's Day, every father there. Do you think that?
Do I think?
Yeah. Do you think that we touched on it? Do you think that when a woman and a man conceive a child, I want a clear answer on this. We live in the era. We hear now that my body, my choice.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think the woman should have the right to get rid of the child if the man wants the child?
So we're circling back to this question.
Yeah, because I didn't get a clear answer from you. I just want to get a clear answer for you. What's your opinion? Do you think that if the woman don't want the child, but the man want the child,
I think
should
if
she?
the man wants the child and the mom does not at that time, I think there should be a due process that
The
both.
child is unborn, not
Right.
yet. But
Yeah, exactly. So we've let's say, the woman is just now finding out that she's pregnant.
Mm.
She's having the conversation with her lover or her partner, whatever it may be, and he wants the baby, she does not. I think there needs to be a due process that they can undertake to make that final outcome. What that looks like, I can't say I have the answers right here and now, because
Right.
it is a very delicate subject. At the end of the day, you are asking a woman to undergo something that a man cannot do at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? And a man has
Not
never.
ever. A man will never.
Listen, where we're going, you never know what's possible.
No.
Right.
No.
I'm not gonna put a limit on what science is doing. Who knows what's working on what?
No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm not putting a morality on that. I'm just saying science has learned to engineer food that's not biological. They're creating chickens out of test tubes, and I know they've tested this with humans as well. So we don't know what's to come. But as of right now,
Mhm.
only a woman can bear a child.
Correct.
And because a man can't even take that on, I do think that it has weight to it, and that definitely needs to be in consideration. But as I had said before, both parties should be considered. I don't think it should be solely in the discretion of the woman. Yeah, I think it does take two to make a baby, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that two people can't get on the same page. But I do know that every time that I've decided to have a baby, mentally within my own self, I've prepared myself to raise my kids alone.
Really?
Yeah, and I think
Why?
because again, men can walk away. You can't walk away from a baby inside your belly. You guys are together. That's your 24-hour kick it buddy, you know? And then after having a child, the hormones and the emotions that are released in childbirth connects you and creates such a strong bond between that mother and child. And especially if you're breastfeeding, that's a whole nother set of hormones that are being released that create a bond that it's challenging for most women to walk away from their baby.
True. It's true. Most women, it's hard for them to walk.
Facts.
It's sad when I see a woman walk away from a child. As a man
Mm-hmm.
and having my daughter, our daughter,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and she primarily stayed with me for her first 9 years of her life. Right,
Mm-hmm.
man, we go through that parental those emotion that I don't know how to explain it, but that is almost like I'm going through. This kind of sound weird, right? But it's like I have that maternal instinct,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like if if she seemed like she's going to do something that's going to hurt her, it's like the fear comes over me. I get so overly protective. It's like I don't know. I know most men go through that because I can't see having a child and not being able to be around the child. I gave up 2 potential relationship that would have taken me out of the state
What did he say?
to stay to make sure I was around my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
because I think a father, being in a daughter's life is so important, because if the
Facts.
man is not there, that daughter goes astray really, really quick, and
I don't think that's fair to say. I can see why you would say that, and I'm very
go astray really quick.
yeah. I'm really cautious to give generalization and blanket statements because I hear a woman right now, like a young girl who did not have her dad, who
Mhm.
turned out very well. She's a great contributor to society. She fits the mold as far as what you would probably say a good girl is. So, where I do agree, men are highly important in the family, and I think their presence does impact children, and the lack of their presence impact children. I just don't want to put a blanket statement to say that all children who are
No,
without their
I
fathers
didn't say
are
that.
doomed
I
to
didn't.
go astray, or all young
I
girls without their dads, because I don't think that's fair.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said when a father is not around, it's more likely for a girl child to go astray, right? But
But also young men as well, because
yeah, we see
so
that.
and it takes two, because without mothers in the home, same thing is true, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think parents are, we're highly important in this thing called society.
Yes, we are. I if I could do it all over again,
Well, you can, you're still able to make children. You want to do it again? Would you do it again?
I think I would, but
Okay.
it's to find the right woman, and nowadays we know how difficult it is to find the right person because the expectation is
Facts.
out of this world for what women are looking for from men.
Oh man, so you say you don't fit the mold, huh?
Yeah.
You might have fit the mold how many years ago?
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, you said well, please clarify. You're saying you don't fit the mold for all the expectations that a woman may have in today's society?
I'm not willing to meet those
You're
expectations.
not willing.
No, I'm not willing because
And what are these expectations?
okay, I
Please.
have 2 of those expectation already down pat, right?
Okay.
Well, 3,
Mm-hmm.
right? And working on others. I'm over 6 foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm slim, fit, right? And the other thing that women always want a man to have is I'm good in that department,
Okay.
right? But in terms of a woman feels like, let me ask you first, and this is just a question. It's general question.
Okay.
What do you think about 50-50, or what do you think about who should pay in this modern time? Let's put it this way.
Okay.
All right, we can talk about modern and we can talk about traditional, right?
Sure.
Are you cold?
No, I'm just getting prepared for this question. Go ahead.
Okay. What do you think about who should pay when a woman says, I want the equality of outcome? I don't know if you understand what that means. Equality of outcome mean like she wants to be considered equal, right? And but she don't want to put in the time to build with the man to create that outcome. She just want the benefit. She wants to come in at the finishing line and get everything.
I'm sorry. I don't know what you mean. So you said a woman wants to be considered equal.
They
That's
want
the first thing I heard.
equality of outcome.
What do you mean of outcome?
So let's say a man is building, and he's
Building as in like building a business? do you mean?
building his life into becoming the man that he aspired to be,
Okay.
right? Which
A man of vision and
a man
ambition.
of vision and ambition,
All right. Love them. Shout
Right.
out to y'all.
Right. And the woman, he meets a woman, and he says, "I like you.
Mm-hmm.
We gel. Build with me." And she
Okay.
says, "No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not going to build with you. You should have it first, and then
Mhm.
you come for me."
Stupid.
As
Okay.
opposed to meeting the man where he is, and he get on his page, right,
Mhm.
and build with him, so you can have the outcome. The both of you can have the outcome and share equally in that outcome, rather than the woman saying, "No, you should have it first, but when you get there, you come for me." She wants the equality of outcomes. She wants to be considered equal into the outcome that the man have aspired to and gained. So that's where the equality of outcome is.
Okay, I'm glad you made that clarification because I wouldn't have put that together. Okay, and what is your question to me about that?
What do you think about?
What do I think about it?
Yeah,
Well, I think that, and we're just talking about generalizations right here and now.
Generalization,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that when a man and woman come together,
hmm
building naturally happens. It's a byproduct of two people coming together and sharing life.
hmm
I don't think you actually have to ask somebody to build with you. When you are in a relationship with someone and you guys are sharing life, I think building will naturally happen. What that building looks like depends on the dynamic of the relationship. You know, you could have two traditional 9-to-5ers, corporate people, and maybe they're building a life. They're building children, and you know their house and the picket fence and the dog. That's what they're building together. You have some that are entrepreneurial and they want to build a business together. Whatever that looks like for that couple, you know, is unique. But ultimately, when you come together and share life, I think building is an organic byproduct of that. And if the relationship is toxic, maybe tearing down is an organic byproduct of that. So,
What do you mean when you say tearing down?
meaning that even that which, so when two people get together and share life, generally the way life and math works, you're going to add on. So there'll be fruit of that relationship. So there's a man and a woman, they come together and they make children. You're building something. You have added to your life. Now, in toxic situations, let's say maybe both people are stable, they live in a house together, but the relationship is very toxic, maybe it's abusive. They're beating down the walls of that house. They're so abusive, police get called, and now they can't even stay in that house anymore. The landlord has broke the lease with them. So now you're undoing that which you've even created because of the toxicity in that relationship. You can, break bridges with friendships. There's a lot of tearing down that can happen in a toxic relationship, versus if it's a good fruitful relationship, you'll see a lot of building. Now, as far as when a woman wants a man to come into her life, I do think that's at her sole discretion, and I think it's fair. Just as if a man would say he wanted a particular thing from a woman, I think everybody has the right to want what they want. Whether they get it or not, that's life. But I think you have the right to want what you want now.
Of course,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has the right to want what they want. I 100% agree with you. The point I'm trying to bring forth
Mm-hmm.
is, should a man and a woman work together? You said it. A man and a woman should work together because that's a byproduct of them getting
I
together,
think they
right?
naturally will
But-
work together if it's a good relationship.
What if the woman and the man get together
Mhm.
and the woman is not on the man's page and he's building, and while he's building, she's spending?
When you say not on the page, meaning she doesn't have what he has monetarily?
No, he's building. He's building the future for both of them,
Mm-hmm.
but she's not really on his page. She wants all the benefits, but she's not supporting his aspiration, his dreams and aspiration. Even if she sees those dreams and aspiration in the workings,
Mm-hmm.
and they're becoming fruitful, rather than helping
Mm-hmm.
to build, she wants to go out and live the lavish, affluent lifestyle, rather than helping to build.
Yeah.
And then, if he puts his foot down, it's a problem because she's going to say that,
Not if you think you and your wife are equal.
right?
Rita!
She's going to say that he should take care of her, and he shouldn't complain.
Mm-hmm.
And then she don't want to build with him, but she wants to go to the end of the finishing line and say, now we're equals. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. Have you ever heard that?
Rita!
Have you ever heard that term where women say
Yeah.
what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine?
Mm-hmm. I have, yeah.
What do you think about that? That's the equality of outcome kind of situation where she wants what she wants,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm
So you know what? I would prefer to be a little bit more transparent and vulnerable and just share me and my personal opinions versus speaking on the whole lot of women and men, because I think everybody's answer would be different, based off their past experiences. Me personally, going back to your first hypothetical situation about a man who has vision and ambition but doesn't yet have any fruit of that ambition. And you were saying, how do I feel about that? Or how, the woman didn't want to partake in a relationship with that man. I think that's fair. And I think that's where I'm at. I'm at a place where I do want to build with a man. And in order to feel confident that I can build with him, I would first want evidence that he's able to build by himself. So as beautiful as it is for a man to have vision, I think it's equally important for him to learn the tactical skills to put that vision into place. And I think that once two people come together, that vision can expound. And I think whatever he's building on will expound. But I would like to know that you have the capability of building so that I could equally build with you. And I think the same is true for me. I would think it would be fair if a man is building and he's seeking a woman to build with, that he would look for those same type of qualities. Is she someone I can build with? Does she have fruit and evidence that she's able to build something, or does she tear things down? What you were talking about later on, as far as different approaches to money, those are all things you consider when you pick a good mate. So I think if we just kind of reverse engineer this a little bit and say probably a lot of challenges we're seeing in relationships is due to not picking the right person.
I agree with you.
I think we can avoid a lot of this suffering.
A lot of the vetting is not taking place.
Mm-hmm.
The real questions aren't been asked. It's more so where they say, "Oh, we met, we like each other, let's hook up, let's hang out." And once emotions start set in place, or let's say they had sex, it's as if that they don't want to ask the questions that are important to get into where they need to be able to establish something that they can build on. I speak in general terms sometimes. I think you noticed that by now. Actually, right? I speak in general terms sometimes because I've spoken to people over the years. I've known people over the years. I like to tell people I'm 100 years old, even though I'm not. Right? But it's just my thing,
Yeah.
So when I speak to people and they said this is what they're going on, this is what's happening, or you watch certain videos and you see men expressing what they go through, you see women expressing what
Yeah.
they go through, and you're like, man, is this an echo chamber? Is this happening? And then some people say, oh, it's just black man, and then you hear some white man come out, say same story. You hear some Asian man come out, same story, and it's like, okay, what is really going on?
Right.
It's kind of as if there is a gender war going on. Like maybe some kind of agenda is being pushed to keep us pinned against each other.
That's
So
good.
it appears as if there's a gender war when there's no real gender war, and the ones that
The
are
real war is against the family,
yes,
right?
right.
Yeah.
The real war is against the family, and the ones that are barking the loudest are the ones that they put in the forefront to say, oh, this has happened to everybody, and women should do this and men should do that. And then the families that are sticking together, you don't hear anything here. It's so quiet you can hear an eyelash blink, right? And do you think that there's somewhat of an agenda to make it appear that we are at odds with each other and having this gender war when maybe it's not really that pervasive?
Okay, so first I want to agree that I personally do believe that there is an interest of a higher power, not meaning God, but of a governing body
Mm-hmm.
of individuals. It's in their best interest that I'm just going to say specifically black women or people of color
Mm-hmm.
do not come together. You know, now is it common? Is it pervasive? Probably so. Probably so. But I think that going back to what you were saying, those who are living alternatively are quiet. I was one of those people. And what I'm seeing now more so than ever is it's time for people like myself to speak up,
Mm-hmm.
to be another sounding board outside of what's being said in mainstream society. And that's why I'm reluctant to always give a blanket statement, because I don't want to be in the same flood of noise that's already out there. We need to stand out and say this isn't the only thing that's happening. There are alternative relationships than the bickering between a man and woman that's happening. And I think we need to give a microphone to the successful relationships, to the successful people in life, and let's look at what they're doing and let's look at solutions based off of what's been proven to work.
I'm going to say this to you, right?
Sure.
Your response just now put a smile on my face.
Oh, hey.
And I'm going to tell you why I put a smile. I'm going to tell you why I put a smile on my face. Because it's spot on the direction that I would like to go, right? In terms of creating content. And I've actually gone out there and talked to people that are married and say, hey, come, let's have this conversation because we need to put forth some kind of guidelines or some kind of information out there where the folks out there that's going on with this constant bickering can see that there's an example of good relationship. Let's get together and have a conversation so you can tell them how they need to be able to work out their issues, right? Actually, I just went to a sort of a wake for my sister, and I met a couple there, and they live not too far. I'm hoping that they reach out, right? And I said, hey, let's come to the podcast so we can sit down and have a conversation because you've been together forever, right? They said they've been together for a very long time. And for me, having people that have been in a relationship for a long time, they could shed some light on how couples or single people, couples that are having issues or single people that are seeking to be in a relationship can navigate the rough waters or rocky terrains and actually have a good or better outcome that they're currently in. And when you said that, I was like, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I put that impression on you.
Yeah.
Put a smile on your face. Yeah. I will say this though. I like how you said for those who are single and want to be in a relationship. Because I don't think if you're not in a relationship, you're not having a successful life. I don't agree with that at all. I think, again, I'm a strong advocate of live and let live. So if you want to be in a relationship, great. If you do not, also great.
Okay, let's
And I
touch on
think
that.
that, it's one thing to be in a relationship and it's another thing to be in a fulfilling relationship.
I agree.
And I think I really love where we're going as a society, because we're breaking so many norms. Traditionally, yes, people may have gotten married more often, gotten married younger, and stayed together longer. But were those relationships happy?
We don't
Were the
know.
kids better off? I think at one point in time, because again, I was brought up in a religious household, the commitment to being married sometimes goes beyond the commitment of each other's happiness or even mental well-being. And I think we need to look at that as we move forward in relationships, in these next generations. I don't think it's a success to say you've been married for 40 years and there's been abuse in that relationship. I don't think marriage out trumps the individuals who are coming together to make that marriage possible.
Repeat that last 15 seconds of what you just said. I want you to say it again.
That the commitment to marriage shouldn't out trump the individuals who are coming together to make that marriage. Yeah.
Now expound on that.
At one point in time in our society, marriage was upheld so high that no matter what was happening within that marriage, no one dare get a divorce.
Right.
You've even seen couples not live together in the same state anymore,
Right.
but are still legally married,
Right.
because they have a belief in not divorcing
Right.
once they've married.
All right.
Now, I think to a degree I would applaud commitment, but I think commitment should be towards each other, the mental well-being and the fulfillment of each other.
Right. I'm going to add to that because I was having a conversation this past Sunday with two young men, and I was mentioning that how marriage came about, right? And how marriage started and then how it over time changes. And now the current marriage that we have is 3 entities as opposed to 2. And when I asked them how many entities, they said it was 2. I said, no, it's 3 entities involved in a marriage. They said, which 3 entities? I said, the man, the woman, and the state, right? At one point, when you wanted to get married, the man had to show that he could support the woman. The woman would stay living with the family. And if she never got married, she'd stay living to the family until she's old and die, right? But the man family, when marriage was being arranged, the man would have to bring a bride price, which is called a dowry, and give to the family, and the family would determine if this was the right guy, and then if they determine and they're in agreement that this was the right guy, then the bride price would be accepted, and the woman would now go with the man, and then they would say, okay, this couple is going to, but before the woman go to the man, they would say this couple is going to be together, right? And now they have a couples ceremony. That's before they decide to put the ring and all that. They had a couples ceremony, and then they said, okay, now all the families got together. They acknowledge that these 2 people are committed to being with each other, and now they do the couples ceremony of acknowledgement, and then they have to go and fulfill the marriage by consecrating the relationship through sex. Consummate. Thank you. I
Stupid.
Consummate the relationship through sex. And I was even explaining to them, thank you for the correction. I was even explaining to them that there were times where a woman would trick men, because I've heard stories about this and read certain books about this in the past, where a woman would trick a man, and they would have their boyfriend, right? And they would pretend that they were virgins, because at one point it was looked down upon for them to say a woman is not a virgin if she lived with her family and they don't have any proof that she's going around and being with someone else, so she has her chastity, right? And they would have they would go in the room and she would refuse to have sex with the man that the family agree upon and sneak off to go be intimate with the man she had on the side, and she won't have an intimate relationship with her husband, the one that's supposed to be her husband. So what started happening is that they would put someone in the room that prepare to the room, the bedding and all that stuff, and stay in the room. It's sometimes it's a neutral person or family member that will go in the room to ensure that both individual actually have sex to consummate the marriage,
There you go.
right? And once the marriage is consummated, then they can say they're officially married because now their souls are tied, and that's the real marriage, right? Essentially, the ring on the finger, right? You get the analogy?
I'm following.
Okay, the ring on the finger. You get the analogy?
I'm following.
Okay.
Yes.
and then after a while, when religion became so prominent, now the church need to get a piece of this action, because now the church say you need to bring the offering, the money, whatever it is, to the church rather than giving it to the family. There were still certain families that were doing the practices of the dowry and giving it, right? But now you
The
need
dowry.
the dowry. So now you need to say it again.
That's fine.
All right. I have
Accent,
I have an
yeah.
accent, right?
The Dory. I'm like,
Right,
the Dory.
say it
Dory
again.
hangs out with Nemo.
Say it again.
The dowry.
Dowry, right? And my accent. I'm sorry, guys. My accent.
Listen, we're good. We're
Right?
good.
All
We're
right.
good, Mom.
You had you
Yes, sir.
Right. So, then the church wanted a piece of it. So now they started doing the ceremony in church,
Okay.
right?
So why are you sharing your recollection of the history of marriage?
Because I
Where
was
are we going
I was
with this?
talking to these two guys of how marriage became a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and why we're here, and now how relationship are not the way that it's supposed to be from when it was then.
So
right?
you think that there's a supposed to be? Like you think there's actually a right and a wrong way, and that
Yeah.
our traditional approach to marriage is the right way? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want me to expound, or you
I
agree?
just think that's interesting.
Yeah. Why you think it's interesting? I'm just curious.
Well, even in the historical account that you gave,
Yeah.
we're just gonna run with that and say, okay, let's see if all that's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
What you just described
Mm-hmm.
is a woman who does not have rights to herself. She's being
No.
treated like property. Her spouse is being selected for her. And then she basically leaves the home of her family to the home of her man, right? And I'm sorry, is that you're looking at me? Did I make an account incorrectly?
No. That's just me. That's just me. When I'm
Mhm.
listening, sometimes I tend to I have this blanket look.
Just scrunch up your face like
Yeah. No, I have this blank look, and I'm just focused in on hearing what you're saying. So
Listen, I again, because I'm such a live and let live, and I've traveled enough and seen enough different culture approaches to things.
Mhm.
I don't think there's a cookie cutter. I think there are some benefits for families to help pick out your potential partner. I've seen it. When you're young, you don't really know what to vet for in a partner.
Uh-huh.
you
I know a
know?
couple that's been married for 65 years.
hmm So where I personally would not want to be under the restraint of an arranged marriage, I do understand why it happens, and I understand some of the benefits of it. But if I have the choice, I would like to make a choice based off my own discretion, and I would advocate for anybody to have that right. But I do understand why it happens. I understand some of the benefits of it happening, but
What are those benefits?
well, again, so when a family is looking at a potential partner for their child, they're looking at several things that you might miss as a young person dating, right? When you're young, there's usually some type of physical attraction that happens. And as you know, like once you have sex, there's all these hormones and chemicals that, make you feel connected to somebody. And when you're young, love can be enough to try to make a relationship happen. versus when you have a whole family vetting your potential partner, they're looking beyond your capacity to love this person. They're saying, okay, does he come from good stock? What
Right.
are the morals and the values of not only him but his family?
Right.
Can we get along with his family?
Right. Right.
Can we get along? What is his religious beliefs? Do they align with ours?
Right.
All of these
Variables
dynamics
and
do impact a relationship.
Right.
And when you are going into a relationship, you might not necessarily be cognizant to check for all those things.
Right.
Versus, when you have a whole set of individuals, a group coming together to pick this perfect person, so to speak, they're going down a whole checklist.
True. That's why I brought it up,
Mhm.
because I wanted your feedback on, you're an American, so you have the American accent, and I'm a foreigner, so I'm gonna say things that's a little bit off kilter, right? But like I say, everyone, don't hold it against me.
No, I love your accent.
Yeah, I like to call it an accident.
An accident. Ooh,
Yeah.
why would you say that?
Because being here so long, I don't have that authentic Yardie accent unless I really go deep and just bring it out.
But even so, if you think about it, the history of patois, what is that? That's broken African dialect mixed with either some Britain or some, right. So
Yes.
that's not even pure. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. That's why I love being exotic. I love being mixed up. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
Oh, no. Nothing is wrong with it. I want to ask you something. So I was recently watching something. I don't know if you ever heard of Kendra G.
Of who, I'm sorry?
Kendra G.
Kendra.
Yeah, she has a talk show on Instagram. And
Shout out to Kendra. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm going to tap in and tune in.
yeah, and she made she was a radio host,
Mhm.
and during the scamdemic, she started her online dating show called Kendra G Dating, and she became very successful, right?
I'm sure relationships is a hot topic.
What?
Yeah.
What? You can say that 100 times and it's still brand new. But she recently had a young woman on. Sometimes I have a problem saying lady because I know the etymology of ladies, and when I say lady, I think like, why am I calling somebody a lady when I
lady.
should just say a woman, right?
Woman, yeah.
So she had this young woman on, and she said she is an exotic. Give me a second. I'm gonna tell
Are you
you.
gonna look it up? Okay.
She's a luxury. She's a luxury companion.
Okay.
She says she's a luxury companion.
Hey.
Can you understand? Can you kind of can you kind of figure out what she means by a luxury companion?
I didn't. Again, shout out to Kendra. That's her name.
Yeah,
Kendra.
yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen the show.
All right, so I'm going to.
I'd be out of I'm out of context here. I can make up my own.
No,
We're gonna put it out there.
we're gonna-
Okay. Let's
Hey,
play that.
Ray, go to YouTube and pull up Kendra G, right? And then let's stream it. Let's look for Kendra G. No, all right. No, scroll, go to her videos. Go to her videos. No, all her videos, yeah. And look for, I'll tell you, scroll down. Go scroll down. I want to look, I'll tell you. Hold on, let me pull it up and then I'll tell you exactly where.
It's the beauty of live, y'all.
Yeah. I'll tell you. You can pull that down for a second, and I'll give you the right.
Has anyone seen this? Maybe they can drop the episode in the chat.
Let's see what.
But it sounds
All right,
good. I
all
would
right.
like to think I'm a luxury.
No, you don't. You
Oh,
don't
I don't
want
want to be a luxury partner.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to. Wait. I'm looking this up, guy. All right, so
So based off what you were saying, I was smart to just say, you know what? I'm out of context here.
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
just jump in that.
So where it is, Give me a second. You said something, Ray? All right. Let me try.
Has
Okay.
the audience ever seen the face of Ray?
Oh yeah.
Okay, they know the man behind the machine.
Oh yeah, they know the man behind the machine.
Big up to Ray.
Yeah, big up, big up. All right, so I think I'm almost there to find it. Let me go to Kendra G. Let me just go to her videos. All right, videos. All right, I had the link, Oh, I know where the link is. All right, guys. All right, I know where the link
We got
is.
it.
Yeah, I know where the link is, guys. All right, here it is. All right, Ray, I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop it in the email right now, so you can have it. Let's close that out. Compose, and
So we're about to play this clip for the audience.
yeah, we're gonna play it and we're gonna talk about it because this was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And oh shucks, why did it do that? I thought it would have copied it. All right, I think this is it.
I think you needed a personal assistant in addition to a co-host.
Well,
somebody should be doing this for you.
Yeah, I know, but we'll get there one day. All right, Ray, check draft. I think it should be in draft. Yes. All right. And
I'm excited to see this. You're putting a lot of energy towards this.
it was interesting. I saw this on
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, make it full screen. So I saw this on Sunday.
Okay.
Right when I got back from the family get together, I saw this. I popped up on the stream and on the Instagram, notification, and I was like, what? And let me check this out. If you notice what it says, she is a luxury companion for men willing to change her profession for a good man. So she's a luxury companion. She's willing to change her profession for a good man.
Oh, okay. So she's kind of like a paid for date, like.
Yes.
Okay.
She's she is a.
No, I don't say it.
She's a adult entertainer looking for a God fearing man.
Is she so adult entertainer meaning what? She's a stripper.
She used to be, but now she sells the.
She's an escort, right? That's what I'm
Yes,
hearing now.
she's
She's a luxury escort. Okay.
Yeah,
like a high end escort.
That's what she says. She's a luxury companion. All
right.
right.
That's what we mean by luxury companion. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Ray. Full screen this and
if
let's
she's
play
a
it.
luxury escort, she belongs to the gold paving streets. If you're gonna play it right.
Gold.
Okay. Oh, this is looking ugly. Okay, we got to go into my room. My forehead looking big. Okay, well, let's go. It'll look better in there.
Where is your father?
Okay. It will still look a little big, but whatever.
What's your name, baby?
So my outside name, my street name is Holiday, but my real name is Kayla.
Say it again. Your name is Kayla?
Yes.
Kayla, how old are you?
I'm 25.
25? Really? 25. Okay, where you calling me from?
Cali.
Cali.
Does she look 25?
Yeah, I live in the capital. So if you know, you know.
Okay, the capital of California. What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Gemini. You have any kids?
No, I have 2 cats.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I am a luxury companion.
A what, honey?
A luxury companion.
What's a luxury companion?
Basically, it's kind of like a sugar baby.
So men pay you to spend time with them?
Yes, I get paid to go on vacations, go to work events, go to dinner, hang out and stuff.
And what type of men pay you to do these things?
all types of races, all types of ages. Yeah,
Do you
it
have
was,
sex with them?
huh?
Do you have sex with them too?
Some of them.
Okay, so just curious, what are you looking for tonight on my show?
Well, like, I would like to find my perfect match. Like, I haven't dated since I've been doing this type of work. I've been doing this type of work for about like a year, and I haven't dated since because I feel like if it's a good guy, that's not fair to him. But like usually out here in Cali, like I only encounter like, am I allowed to say cuss words?
Yeah, sure.
I mostly like be encountering hood niggas, so I feel like it's not really worth me to not do the type of work and I don't tell them what I do. Um, but so it's like, why bother getting a job if I'm just gonna encounter guys that aren't worth me getting a real job? But also too, I need to let it be known I can easily get a real job. I've had 26 jobs and I've only gotten 2.
You're 25 and you had 26 jobs so far?
Yes, I have.
What kind of jobs have you had?
Some have been real jobs like marketing, um administrative assistant, stuff like that. Some have been little BS jobs like, just assistant manager at retail or uh working at a hotel or whatever. So I've had a lot. I get jobs really easily, but I've been on my own since I was 18 and I I was just kind of always struggling. So I didn't want to struggle no more. But I'm still like very educated. I have a college degree. I have a degree in marketing. I'm very well educated. It's just like I don't like to struggle. So yeah.
So let's take it from here. So Kayla's 25. She's in California, no kids. Her job is a luxury companion. BK is sugar baby. So you're looking for a man you could be in a relationship with?
Yes. So I grew up very, very traditionally. So I know for a fact I would be the perfect wife. Like I cook, I clean, I know how to treat a man well. Um, so my goal, like my dream, I would like to find a man and like, we date and then we get married and then we have children. And I want to get my real estate license and then be a real estate agent slash housewife.
So in this process, are you still going to be a sugar baby to other men?
Absolutely not. No
Okay.
way. The
So you're
reason
willing to.
because I want a good guy. I want a good man. And that's not going to be fair to a
Mhm.
good man. But also, too, I have to let this be known as well because they're going to assume, like, oh, she's, a companion sugar baby. She's been ran through. Actually, I'm 25. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 20 years old.
Well, how many men have you slept with since you turned 20?
I don't know. I haven't counted, but it hasn't been that many.
Okay, let me
I love you so much.
Hey, hey, pause
Kayla,
there a
hold
second,
on.
Ray. Did you see her face? Did you see her face? She said, you heard what she said?
I did.
That there was a reason why I put this on,
Okay.
right? So, what do you think about women? Women always say men objectify them. What do you think about women doing services like this and then turn around and says that she's now looking for the antithesis of what she's doing, and she has these criterias that are just, it just seems ridiculous for the present moment that she exists in her job.
That's interesting that you would use the word ridiculous.
Hmm.
Especially in today's age, because we definitely, this is the age where we glorify strippers.
Mhm.
And I think you'll see there's plenty of men who are willing to be in relationships
Mhm.
with women who are utilizing their looks or their body
Mhm.
for income. I don't think it's as ridiculous as you made it sound. I think it's happening.
No, I know it's happening. What I'm
Mhm.
saying is, what do you think about women like this that are living this kind of lifestyle, and they're objectifying themselves for the money, and then they turn around and say they want a man that's totally opposite of what they're doing, but also want to keep doing what they're doing. And
Well, I mean, in fairness, she said she wouldn't continue her profession had she had the right man, or when she gets the right man. She's willing to leave it all.
okay, yeah, I understand and I
Mhm.
appreciate.
Versus other women who are, not just luxury companions, they have OnlyFans accounts
Hmm.
and whatnot. Basically, they're making a lot of money
I know,
doing what they're doing.
I know.
And they maybe would not be so inclined to let it go.
Okay, so
Mhm.
you actually took the conversation, you took the next words out of my mouth.
Ooh, look at me.
So this was a segue into the conversation that I want to kind of have with you next.
Mhm.
Earlier on, I said to you that there are going to be certain conversations that's going to come up that's going to be kind of like sketchy and sticky, and might be a bit, seem a bit offensive, or you might be sensitive. You may take it the wrong way. And we had those kind of like talk, and you said you won't necessarily take it the wrong way. You're just going to voice your opinion, and you're going to give a different
Yeah,
perspective.
I think everybody has a right to their opinion. I'm not going to be offended by how you think. I said my boundary was, as long as no one's disrespecting me personally,
Right.
I don't see what the harm is. I think it's great to have diversity of thought and opinion.
Okay. So you mentioned OnlyFans. What do you think about women that are doing OnlyFans? Do you think it's uh we can't say the PORN on
Mhm.
YouTube, because
Sure.
right? So we'll say, I like to use the word horn,
Mhm.
but the general public or general other content creators say corn.
Mhm.
So what do you think about women that are objectifying themselves in that fashion and think it's okay and should be glorified and justified? What do you think about what's going on in, and despite I understand they're making a lot of money, but they will want the very opposite, to date the very opposite. And do you think that's uh prostitution?
Okay. Well, no matter what you label it, it's been here since the beginning. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe historically that profession has been managed by men, even though women were the product in that industry. It was still managed by men. I think now in today's age, you see women managing themselves.
I'm going to interject there.
Mm.
There's a reason why we have brothels, and in the brothels, the women were madams,
Mm-hmm.
right? It wasn't necessarily being managed by men. It was, a lot of them were owned by women,
Mm-hmm.
objectifying other women's, but because men go
Yeah, I agree. There definitely are madams as well. So shout out to y'all.
shout out to madams.
Now shout out to madams. Yeah, I think both has existed. Maybe I just want to say maybe predominantly when we talk about you were mentioning corn,
Mm-hmm.
and basically seeing that type of exploitation in video form.
Mm-hmm.
That has been predominantly managed by men. And now, thanks to OnlyFans, you have the right to your own personal content
Do you think women should?
to a degree. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's okay?
I don't have a morality about it, honestly, because I was raised to be a provider at all costs. So,
What?
yeah, my dad said something to me. He said he would pick, I'm not going to curse on the show, but he said he would basically pick up boo-boo off the ground if he had to take care of his family. And what that did to me is to say a person who takes care of their family is to be upheld and to be respected. Now, there's many ways that you can do that, right? This is one of them. This is one of the legal ways you can take care of yourself and your family. So I don't have a morality against it.
I'm going to send a text to you because I don't want to. I don't want to ask. And if you feel comfortable, then
For the record, I do not have an OnlyFans. I have I've not ever been a prostitute, a stripper, or
okay. So I won't
anything within the sex industry.
Okay.
If you would like to know that.
Let's go.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna bash my brothers and sisters who are. You know, I think there's a dark side to that industry. I don't think it's as easy as a profession as it might be glorified to be at this point. There's a lot that comes with that. But I'm not gonna bash anybody for doing what they gotta do or basically making the use of their resources.
Okay, so I understand. And I'm if I veer off, pull me back in, okay?
All right.
I'm gonna say something about me and strippers.
Sure.
For women that you said that a woman has to do what she has to do to take care of her family,
Anyone.
right? But what if they're just doing it for the materialistic gain,
I
the
said to take
opulence?
care of themselves
Oh,
and their family, right? So whatever standard of living that you're seeking to have, again, I think you have that right. You can want what you want. Not everybody wants the same thing. Somebody wants a house. Somebody wants a condo in the sky.
I'm going to tell you the first story before I go back and tell you about me in terms of strippers, right? When I used to do property management, and I spoke about this on previously, right?
Right.
I met a 17-year-old. She had a young child, very well spoken. She came from the hood,
Right.
right? And when she told me where she was from, and I heard the way she spoke, I was like, "You're from the hood? How come you don't talk like the rest of them?" She said, "You can live somewhere, but you don't have to speak like them."
Which
Right.
is true. As I was saying, we can't make a blanket statement to say, all kids that are lacking a mom or a dad in their household are going down the wrong way, right? Because some people do make something of themselves. We see it all the time. There are many successful people in the world that come from one parent household.
Well,
right?
this one did.
Mhm.
She started stripping when she was 17 years old. When I met her, she was almost 18. Right? She came looking for an apartment. She already had a child and like 1 year old. And I told her that she could not rent an apartment. She was not old enough to get the apartment by herself. I said, "Come back when you're 18." Right? She came back when she was 19. Right? And by this time, the child is about 2 years old. Right? And say, "Okay, now you can rent." And I said, "We need all your banking statement." And she brought her banking statement, and she had over 270 plus thousand, 270, I think it was 275,000 plus to be exact, right? In her account, if my memory served me correctly. And I said, "Where did you get all this money from?" She said, "The last time I came here, I decided I wanted to better my life, right?" She said, "I have a friend, and he's going to law school to be a lawyer. And when he graduate law school, I'm going to work in the law practice, right? And he's going to be the lawyer, right?" I said, "So what? How are you going to be a part of this?" She said, "I'm going to study to be either paralegal, or she's going to learn to do filing, right? But she's going to be the investor, right?" But she had so much money in her account, she couldn't rent it because it was rent an apartment because it was an income restricted community, and she had too much money in her account, right? At 19 to have over 200, almost 300 grand. So didn't give her the apartment. She left. She came back again, and this time she was about 22. But she didn't come back to rent the apartment this time. She just came back to say, we had a conversation, and she came back to, we just talked like shooting the breeze. And she was telling me the plans that she set in motion, they're coming to fruition. At 22, she owned a law practice. Her friend that was going to law school graduated. She invested the money in in owning the law practice. She works at the law practice, and he's a lawyer, right? That's an anecdotal example, but I do understand that some people do it for a certain reason to better themselves, and I don't have anything necessarily bad against certain
I was about to
strippers.
say, should we turn this question around to you?
Yes, I'm
How
going.
do you feel?
How do I feel? I just answered. I don't necessarily have. Yeah,
Necessarily.
I'm going to clarify,
Okay,
right? But
unpack that
I need to then talk about my experience.
with the stripper.
Yes.
Okay.
I dated strippers in the
Mhm.
past, actually
Okay.
3, right?
Mhm.
And it was 2 of them that after they found out I had a child, later on I dated them before I met my daughter's mother,
Mhm.
and late we still knew each other, but I never had any further dealings with them after we separated. And one of them sat me down and she said, "So Shy, you have a daughter. You need to stay in your daughter's life." I said, "I plan to be. That's my second heartbeat, right?" And she says, "I'm going to tell you when your daughter gets older. I'm telling you now, when your daughter get older, these are what you need to tell her not to do." And she started telling me the piercing. Make sure my daughter don't get those piercing, certain poses. She was just giving me a rundown of things to tell my daughter, to talk to me, to tell my daughter to stay away from. And that's my example of how a stripper helped me to be a good father, because she gave me certain highlights that I then put into practice and talk to my daughter about. And of course, my daughter, being a child, she's still going to want to do those things because her friends are doing it. But I would be on top of her because I understood from being explained to what these poses and certain terms and piercings are about. And that helped me. So that's my
Are you
story.
talking about ear piercings or belly rings? What are we talking about?
Piercing in the face and the lips and things like that, posing with your finger and tongue between those kind of poses. How you,
Okay.
yeah, how you,
So you're not talking about earrings and putting a hand on your hip. You're talking about sexual innuendo poses.
yes,
Okay.
sexual innuendo poses, exactly, right? So she put me up on game when it comes to those kind of poses. So I learned them, and I became very careful with my daughter and making those poses, because I always tell her, say, the things that you see online and you do them, you never know when they can come back and haunt you. Right, so don't pose like this and send any pictures to anyone like this, because you never know what they'll do to them. And I'll go to prison for mine.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is you were educated by a stripper. All right, you dated a stripper.
Yeah.
So again, a stripper wanting to be in a relationship isn't so ridiculous that it could happen. I think you're evidence.
I
of
understand that.
Yeah.
However, what I said necessarily is because I disagree with the ones that are using it for the wrong reason. If you're going to use it just to bridge the gap, use it to bridge the gap to get from one place to another in your life, and then how should I say,
Disengage with that
disassociate
lifestyle.
from that lifestyle, then I'm not against that. But if you're going
So
to,
you're okay as long as they have an exit plan.
yes,
Oh my goodness.
I'm okay as long.
Why? Why would you have an opinion? So do you have an opinion about why anybody else goes to work and do what they do?
Because they objectify. Yes, but it depends.
So-
They objectify themselves.
And so you feel invited to have an opinion about what they do.
Yes. I mean, anyone would be invited to, because what they're doing it openly. I don't like going to the strip club. I think I can count on one hand how many, maybe twice, 2 hands, how many times I've been to the
You
strip
just
club.
go, you get them, you
No, I
wife
won't-
them up,
no,
you get
I-
out of there.
No,
Okay.
I only go if one of my friends is having a birthday and he wants to have a
Okay.
actually the first time.
Listen, I'm not gonna judge you. I don't have. There's no dog in the fight for this for me.
Mhm.
I you know what? Going back to live and let live. It's in fairness, they're an illegal profession.
There's
Some
Yeah.
people actually enjoy what they're doing. I think they should have the right to do that, whether or not they have an exit strategy. I think it's unfortunate when you have people who are in that industry, they
Mm-hmm.
do it for a long period of time. They
Mm-hmm.
make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And when they, age out of that industry or just no longer fit the mold anymore
Mm-hmm.
for their line of work, they have nothing to show for it.
Right.
I think that's unfortunate. But again, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life.
So you wouldn't have an opinion if you see that they're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Well, again,
If you,
see, it's like
hold on,
I
hold
don't have
on,
an
hold
opinion
on, hold
about.
on. If you had a choice to give them an advice
Mhm.
right now, you as who you are had a chance, an opportunity to give them an advice to make a different choice or have an exit plan.
She don't want to be saved, y'all. What are you talking about?
She belongs to the streets.
I'm just saying, like, you're saying this, like,
can't save these hoes.
you're
Why
saying what
are you
advice?
trying?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what you're saying, what advice do I have? As if people are seeking to get out this industry. Now, if you're seeking to get out, that's one thing, right? Because the child trafficking that is real.
Oh yeah.
And it goes beyond children, right?
Right.
So sex trafficking is real. Unfortunately, not everybody is in this industry free will,
Mm-hmm.
But in the context of you're just saying a woman who has full soul discretion over what she's going to do for work and she decides to be a luxury companion,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she wants to be saved.
So let's say we have.
If she wants to walk away, she can walk away at any time.
So let's say we had some woman in the studio and they were OnlyFans
Mhm.
woman.
Hey,
And
show me how to make some money off my feet pics, y'all. That's what I want to know. Yeah.
So and let's say I'm going in on them and asking them certain questions. Are you going to be advocating for them?
Again, I'm not. Are we going against them?
No. Some of them are very delusional.
Okay.
Some of them are very delusional.
Some people in general are delusional, no
Yeah.
matter the profession.
That's true.
Mhm.
But I'm talking in specifically because you mentioned OnlyFans.
Mhm.
So we had some OnlyFans people in here and they're saying certain delusional things, and then I'm
Such
asked.
as.
I don't know what they will be saying. I
Mhm.
don't.
Oh, you're
want.
saying if
Yes.
they were to say something that I would consider delusional?
No, I would consider.
Oh, that you would
yeah.
consider delusional. Okay.
And I'm going in on them about that.
Sure.
Right?
Mhm.
Or Ray chiming and going in on them about that. Are you
Mhm.
going to be like advocating for their delusion?
Not necessarily, because I may or may not deem it to be delusional, but I wouldn't attack it as this is delusional. I think if I had somebody from OnlyFans on the show,
Mm-hmm.
questions that I would be interested to know, I honestly would want them to share, like, yes, the income potential and what a day in the life looks like for them, but also the dark side and what the challenges are and how are they managing the stigmas that they get from society by selecting this type of profession. I think the question you just rose is a great example of a lot of stigma that happens to individuals
Mm-hmm.
who decide to go into that industry.
True.
And how are they navigating that? And what does a relationship look like for them? And did the dynamic of a relationship change now that they're in that profession? And do they date others in that profession? Are they open to that? What are they looking for? These are things that I'd be interested to know.
Do you think that's digital prostitution?
Digital prostitution.
Yeah. They're still they're selling themselves, but
Look
no
up
one.
what's the true definition of prostitution?
I'm going to tell you.
Virtual prostitution.
Come on, what was the last? I think this might have.
I would say even if it was virtual prostitution, so now what? Now that we put a word to it, what does that mean?
Hold on.
I'd also ask questions like, what is it like making more money than your parents? Or others that, were in your circle. Did your circle have to change once your income bracket changed? I'm curious to know about that, those dynamics. Did you have a bunch of people that felt entitled to your success, or, came looking for a handout? now that they've made so much money?
Okay,
What is it like now to date as a woman making so much money, and the general man is probably not making that much?
right, because the average man makes about 45 to 48,000 a
Right.
year.
It'd be interesting to see what they're looking for in relationships, because maybe money's off the table for them since they've already achieved that. You know, a woman working OnlyFans might be more inclined to do a 50-50 than maybe a woman who's not. You know, she might be more inclined to look for a man in his character. You don't agree, right?
What? I think you've been off the market for so long that you don't know what's really happening out there.
Well, in fairness, you're right. I'm not dating anybody from OnlyFans or in the sex industry, so I don't know what's happening out there. But I'm just saying, you as a woman making a lot of money, you either want a man to meet you in that income bracket, or it doesn't mean anything to you anymore.
All right, stick a pin in that. The income bracket, stick a pin in that. So let me read this, right? So the practice the practice or occupation of engaging in sexual activity with someone for payment.
Okay.
Right, that's the definition.
Yeah, sexual activity. So based off of that definition, sure, digital prostitution, sexual activity.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's a sexual content, yeah.
Okay. So you're okay with it? You think that's fine?
Do I have a moral opinion on how somebody else is making money? Why?
Okay.
Listen, again, this is a legal profession. Now, if you have kids up there, right? You got people underage, then I would say, no, that's not right. Okay. But if we're just doing a very clean, black and white, fair slate, this person is of age, they're engaging in a legal means to make money. I personally do not have an opinion on anybody else and how they make money. I can only decide what I want to do.
All right. Ray, pull this down and pull up that video we recently did about the teacher that was in school showing her parts, right? So go to the
I feel like
video.
you're trying to entrap me here or something.
No, I'm not trying to entrap you. Go to the live. Go to live. Go to live. No, go to live. And
so the teacher is showing her parts to children?
Is that it? Yeah, I think that one is it. Okay. All right, you're going to see this one.
Lamar Consolidated.
Go back a little bit. Go back a little bit more.
This is the teacher?
Yeah, they're doing a press
Y'all,
conference.
the teacher, fine, y'all.
No, that's not the teacher.
Oh, that's not the teacher. Okay.
Yeah, all right, stop it right there, Ray.
Almost
all right, play it now.
A mainstay, a norm for teachers. It doesn't matter how they look, how they shape, their height, their size. They are going for the quote bag, unquote bag. They're going for the bag. And that's the main idea, right?
But what the hell, boy?
And it normally, many times, we hear about these kind of situation where we talk about OF models, as they call themselves, in the city. But a lot of these teachers that have been caught are in rural areas, right? So there's no safe corner or no safe town you can go to anymore. Hey, we all have social media. And some of us use it for good, and some of us use it for bad. And you form your opinion. What's good or what's bad? I've already formed mine in some sense, in some terms, in some circumstances. But in this news brief, this press conference, you will hear about another teacher that have actually exercised her free will to do things in front of our children. And when I say our children, it doesn't matter. It takes two people to have a child, but it takes a village to raise that child. Right? So when I said our children, I mean it doesn't matter where they're from, how they look. They're still our children, because when we grow old and pass away, they're going to be the ones that's going to be bringing up offsprings that will continue the society and continue our existence. So when we have these teachers in rural areas now that are taking up the city girl lifestyle and doing these things in front of the students, we have a situation like this. All right, Ray, roll the killer.
For the new Black Panther Nation, here standing with my chairman, Brother Quanell X. We're here in reference to an atrocity that has happened here at this elementary school that stands behind us by the name of Gray Elementary, that is in the school district of Lamar Consolidated ISD. We have a former music teacher that was here this school year when this shocking video has happened. This school teacher that was a music teacher taught several grade levels here in this school. We have shocking video of this music teacher doing porn videos in the music classroom, and also a second video of her doing this porn video in the school bathroom during school hours. So, and let's not leave out, she also had her school ID badge on. I called also to verify was this teacher still employed here at this school. So it comes to find out that the teacher is no longer employed here, but not for this incident. The administration had no idea of the videos that was taking place here in this school. So what we are demanding that Lamar Consolidated ISD need to get with the Texas Education Agency to let them know about this atrocity of what has happened with this teacher, because this is how demented teachers go from one district to the next, jumping from district to district without, they can go and apply for a job and they have their teacher certification, they don't have a criminal record, but you over here doing explicit activities in an elementary school. That is unacceptable. So that's why we are calling this out. We are not going to sweep this under the rug. I did speak with administration here at the school district. They were not aware of that video, like I said. However, they did wanted to share with me, like I did let them know that I was going to bring this public. They did not want me, to bring it public because they did not want, the community to feel like they wasn't doing their job. But how can you not say that you're not doing your job because you didn't know anything about the video? Now that you know about the video, now we expect for you to do your job. We expect for you to go to the Texas Education Agency. We expect for you to put a block on this teacher so this teacher cannot go to another school and do this type of foolishness. This can be the same type of teacher that can touch a child. If you taking your clothes off, you're smacking your behind, you're flapping your breasts out, and gyrating yourself in a classroom where students are during the school day, and you're doing this in the bathroom, that is unacceptable. So basically I'm gonna let Brother Quanell state his piece, and then I'll close it out.
You really can't make this stuff up. It is.
All right. So when you say that it's not off you to say how a person earns their money, it has gotten so bad that teachers are exposing themselves in front of our children.
I don't think that that's related. I think there's something. First off, until it's been substantiated, this is all allegations.
What,
So I'm gonna be fair. Yeah.
No. They have the video. They watched her doing it.
Right. So I'm gonna say this.
You want to keep
based off of the allegations and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the teacher is she's very wrong. That is illegal. Mm-hmm. And she should have her certifications removed, so she can't teach in any school district. Going back to one, protecting our kids, and then two, she's in a public place. Mm-hmm. What we were talking about before is somebody, let's say, who's utilizing either a strip club, right? So you have to come there to see her that way, mm-hmm. right? And they're vetting you at the doors, supposedly to make sure you're of age, or you're on OnlyFans and you're doing that in the privacy of your own domain or whatnot.
Pause right there.
Mm-hmm.
She was doing this content for OnlyFans.
And I can imagine that there's a lot of people that want to see something like that, right? But that doesn't make her right. She's actually out of law. She's not legally doing that. Mm-hmm. I get that there could be a fan base for that, but she's out of pocket on a lot of different ways. So I think, again, somebody who's legally doing their profession, they're in a different lane than this teacher. This teacher is wrong on so many accounts. And I don't think that she should represent others who are who are in the sex industry and are approaching this totally different. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to just slap her on her hand. She should definitely get what's due to her.
Okay. Do you think there was something else I'd want you to ask me? We talked about it already. There was something else I wanted you to ask. What is your you said, okay, this is kind of like, what is your overall idea in terms of man, woman, and woman? What is the overall perspective basis versus what we argue about and how it affects the family, how it affects the general publics? Are some of those things that we argue about? Some of those things that we argue about are money, religion, sex.
Absolutely.
So politics.
Right.
What's your stance on, let's say, politics? Do you think a woman should vote?
I do.
Do you think what do you think do you think a woman should have the same vote that a man should have?
I do.
Tell me why.
I think that all human beings on earth should have the inherent right to be acknowledged equally in that regard. So meaning that, yes, both men and women can vote. That would be inclusive of all races, excuse me. And I would even go as far as to say that I believe that individuals who have been incarcerated, maybe have had a felon in their background, should also have the right to vote. We were looking at the presidential requirements for running for candidacy, and nowhere is it mentioned that a criminal record is considered for those running to be president. And that's why you have Donald Trump now still in the race. And I think that if we're going to allow our presidents to have a background with the criminal record, I think equally voters who have criminal backgrounds should have the right to vote.
Standing on that note, because I was going to ask you something else. So the next thing I was going to ask you, but since you made that point, I'm going to want you to expound on it.
It's your car, baby. Drive wherever you want to go. Where are we going?
So what I was going to ask you is about women being drafted. So let's put that note there.
The new thing that just happened.
Hold on.
Okay.
So since President Trump is still in the race to become a president, even though they have has he been convicted? No, he hasn't been sentenced. He's been convicted, right? Of the felonies. When a person, quote unquote, served their time, right? Pay their debt to society, should or shouldn't they have the rights to get a job without having that stigmatism on their back?
I think it depends on what type of job, right? So, for example, as this teacher has done she's committed crimes within the school district among kids. I personally don't think that her profession moving forward should be with children. Quite honestly, I think it'll be great if she does go through, whatever type of counseling or whatever is needed to look into why she would do what she did. But I think even so, I think just for the protection of our children, she should look for work outside of that profession.
Hey Ray, you can pull that video. You can pull that video down. So the reason why I ask you before I get back into the drafting,
right?
Oftentimes when a person get incarcerated for a felony and they come out, they can't get a job. right? That stigmatism is looming over their heads for like pretty much the rest of their lives. Their voting rights are not reinstated. What is your opinion about that? Because in my opinion is that once the debt to society is paid, because I understand how the concept of the debt to society came about, I don't understand why after they've been corrected, because it says they get rehabilitated.
That's
right? So they're incarcerated for rehabilitation. So now they got rehabilitated. They pay their debt to society. Why is it that their rights are not also reinstated once they pay their debt? Because if you owe a debt and you pay it, you're now clear of the debt. But they're still living under the same stigmatism for the rest of the entire life. If they go to a job, they apply for a job, they say they were arrested for a felony, they don't get the job, even if the job has nothing to do with stealing, they won't get the job. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's a very unfortunate situation for those who have been, rehabilitated, that they're actually not brought back into society in, I think, a equitable way. I do think, though, there do need to be some parameters, right? Again, going back to people who have harmed kids, or murderers. I don't think that they should be in certain professions. But I do agree. I think that we should give those who have had a record opportunity to have housing. People have a hard time even renting a house with the background. I would say right now, with the way that things are in society, if you have a record and you're looking to be like self-sustainable, and you don't want to do OnlyFans or work at a strip club, look into the tech industry. It is something that I advocate all the time, especially among, our brown-skinned people. Tech industry is a great field to be in, whether or not you have a degree or even if you have a background. The tech industry is something that you can get into and make a significant amount of money for yourself.
She's telling the truth. Trust me, she's telling the truth.
And I would also look into construction. Construction is another industry that those who have a background can get into and make a really good living. So I would say that for every will, there is a way. My brother, my sister, I'm with you out there. And don't lose hope. I would love to see our society change. We do need to be more embracive, especially since there's a whole system at play to put our people into jail, right?
Very true.
And to ensure that they'll go back again.
Very true. Hence why they won't give them any jobs, or they make it hard on their application. When they speak the truth, they say it won't affect you. It still affects them. They won't get hired for the job, even if they're qualified. They will take a non-qualified person over the person that I've
well,
served.
it's hard, right? As a company, you don't want to take on that type of liability, So this is, again, where I think we need help from the government and other entities to put incentives in place. Just like there's incentives to employ those underserved communities, I think that there could be something like that in place for those who have been incarcerated and have paid their dues.
I don't think they'll put any incentivization, right? So that's the right word.
There actually are some organizations that put resources in place for those who have been incarcerated.
Of course,
yeah.
There are some incentives, but
they're usually independent, right? This is the beauty of entrepreneurship. You can kind of chip at matters that matter to you, right? I'm just saying, as a society, as a whole, we should have something in place. And again, this is me talking idealism,
right?
But I do think, if we are the people, and we are supposed to make laws that support our people, I think there should be something in place for those who have paid our dues, especially since it's become more aware than ever before that people are being wrongfully incarcerated.
It's what's crazy? That's always been happening.
It's always been happening, but now
we're more aware. It's more exposed.
It's more exposed, right? So it's not that the powers can put a blind eye to it.
Right. It's but they're still finding ways to do it, because of course we know that industrial complex is a business. So they're in the business of incarcerating as many people as they want to, because they need to keep generating money. And if
it's
those
a business.
if these prisons are not filled to a certain capacity, the government then have to pay them, because in order to put a prison in a certain state or a certain community, they are subsidized by the government. And if they can't keep the prison at a certain capacity, now the government have to come in and pay them for the loss of revenue. So the incentives for them to make sure that they have reoffenders is highly motivated. So that's why they make it so difficult for us to be able to get a job once we've gone through that system.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think we could do a whole show on, the complexities of how, things are set up against us,
Definitely. And I'm all for it.
Yeah. My heart goes out to you guys. Even me, I've been to jail before, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's been like over 20 years ago now, but I've had the experience of going to jail. It's not nice.
Okay, you know what it says? Who, what, see? Who, what, why? So the who, it happened to you.
It happened to me.
What happened and why did it happen?
What happened was I was on a military base. I was at a nightclub on a military base with a few of my cousins, my family members and friends. We were there maybe 15, 20 minutes the most. In that time, I purchased a glass of wine, and everyone that I was with decided they didn't want to hang out at this nightclub anymore, and we were going to move to a new location. So I just purchased my drink. I didn't want it to go to waste, so I guzzled it down and got in the car and followed the car in front of me out of the military base, because I don't live on the military base. Somebody had invited us, and so I'm using them to navigate myself out of there. So I'm kind of following close behind. Well, the military police pulled us over, said I was, basically tailgating or following behind this car too closely. And I probably smelled the wine on my breath, and then took me to jail. To be honest, I got a DUI that night.
So you have street cred.
I got some street cred, yeah. And yeah, it was one glass of wine. It hadn't even kicked in yet.
Wow. You see how they it almost seemed like someone had a quota to meet.
Yeah, possibly.
In my opinion. All right. So what do you think about women being drafted? There's a reason why I asked, before you answer, there was a reason why I asked you about voting and equal rights for women, because I wanted to use that as a segue to lead into this question.
Sure.
So a woman being drafted, what do you think about women being drafted?
Yeah. I'm personally against the draft in general. Let me just say that. To be
for men and women?
For men and for women. I know somebody's gonna, probably get on me for that. I'm just not with it, to be honest.
Why?
Because if we don't have a say as to whether or not we should be going to war, why are we fighting your war?
That's true. 100%. And you mentioned something earlier. We should do a show about, what was it that you mentioned? I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, incarceration.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the system set up with that.
We could even do a show, why are we going to war? Because that's a whole thing by itself, because there's so much there to unpack. It's ridiculous. We know we're going to war to make sure we line the coffers.
Yeah, and you guys, I'm not anti-American. Obviously I'm an American. I live here.
No, in general.
I think there's some benefits to living here. There's some downsides to living here. I guess I'm just not biased as an American. I'm going to be honest about both sides.
You know, some people would say you're not patriotic.
And they could be right based off that definition. You know, how do they view, patriotism? I don't agree with the draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've gone,
Especially in a capitalistic society, you can highly incentivize becoming a part of the military if you got a war going on.
of course, which they do.
But no, highly incentivized. They already got some incentives. But if you are dearly in need of some bodies, you can be very persuasive in your approach. I don't think you have to force anybody's hand.
But they are very persuasive in their way that they do it, because they promise all these different incentives.
But
and
what they're not
they
doing,
don't deliver.
Okay, but with someone with so much power, right? I mean, look at like record labels. What do? They tell people who have never had money, I'm gonna buy you a house. I'm gonna buy your mom a house. I'm gonna drip you with gold, right? I'm gonna give you something to ride in, something you could never obtain by yourself. So you don't see the government coming out here and saving people like that. That's what I mean, highly incentivized.
Because
those
there's
who
too
sign
many
up,
people to do that.
Look,
too.
we paying off your house. We buying your house, your mama house. People would sign up. They would say,
Right.
you know what? I will sacrifice my life to make sure that my family is going to be taken care of no matter what. Right now, most of those incentives are first inherited to that person who decides to onboard. And then if they get married, you have to be married, right? To be even recognized to be an inheritant of those benefits. So I think that, again, the government can highly incentivize an onboarding process if that's
Right.
what needs. I don't think you have to force somebody's hand. I don't think they should.
Well, I mentioned to someone the other day that I think all veterans should have a home paid off, given to them by the government.
Yeah, shout out to veterans. My best friend is a veteran, by the way.
Really? Male or female is your best
Female, and she was in the Navy.
friend? She fought in any war, or?
No, thankfully she was on the medical side of things, so she helped take care of those who were injured, but she was not on the front line.
So I'm being across the board when I say I think all veterans should have a home to live in, paid off. But I even feel more passionate towards the ones that were on the front line, that they should never have to worry about a place to live, health care anymore. All their expenses should be taken care of. It's pretty much like they're supposed to just be living like kings and queens, or they're retired, and even if they served and came back and they were not injured, but they were on the front line, their house should be mortgage free. They should be given a home.
Yeah, I mean, I could run with that. I think there's a lot of discrepancies with how our veterans are being treated
Right.
once they, leave the government in that position. So that's a whole nother show you could do.
Yeah, because
I've personally seen it firsthand with my best friend and the challenges that she goes through. She I've seen there's all kind of problems within the healthcare that they do provide the veterans, and she doesn't have any mental health issues based off of being in war, but I know a lot of veterans do, and I don't think we're adequately serving them. I think you'll find a lot of our homeless population, not a lot, but a good portion. Yeah, of our homeless population and those struggling with mental health issues are our veterans.
Yeah, from PTSD and I just
post-traumatic war
syndrome. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a reason why I think that was the reason I asked you about women voting and equal rights of voting, because a lot of time that people vote and going back to the equality of outcome, they want the same equality and they're not being compensated in different ways, or if they are voting for war and their bodies are not, or their children's bodies are not put on the same agenda as for that war, they're not, let me put it this way, if they're wealthy, chances are their children are not going to go to war. So they will pay or they'll do that what they have to do to make sure that their children don't go to war. So they're not considered as a part of that pool of people that they can select from to send off their children to war. So I don't think that certain people should have equal rights to vote when their bodies or their relative bodies possibly are not going to be on the chopping block. So that's why I asked that question. I don't know if I made sense to you.
Yeah, it sounds like, in short, you think that it would be wrong for someone to make a decision on something that does not impact them.
Right. Exactly.
That's fair.
All right. So I think I asked a whole bunch of questions all over the place, kind of like.
What do you guys think? Do you think he vetted me well? Did he miss out on any questions? What do y'all want to know?
Ray, Ray, what's your input? What's your feedback? I went a bunch of different ways asking,
I
talking
felt
about.
like you were trying to see what would get me passionate, about something. You haven't found anything yet.
Yeah, I haven't found anything. I was just trying to touch different things that would get you passionate, to get you see what would get you upset. What you just seem so
upset. Oh, look at
yeah.
Oh, that's a great point, because earlier off the set, you guys, you didn't hear this, but he had made a comment how women are more, what did you say? Flighty or emotional,
emotionally sensitive.
Yeah, emotionally sensitive.
Yeah, it is true.
Than gender. He said this is facts, you guys.
It's facts.
He said this is facts. Women become more upset than men.
Easier.
Easily.
Yeah.
More easily, right?
Yes, because if you can say the very same thing to a man that you say to a woman, and she will react with more fervor, more anger, more annoyance, more.
So what's the example? What is something you would tell your brother that your sister would become upset about if she heard that same statement?
Like a woman could call a man a bitch when she's angry.
We can cuss on the show? So YouTube says we can cuss on the show. We just can't say
certain
corn.
things.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm learning the guidelines, y'all.
Certain things we can't say.
Okay.
I'm not even sure we could have said prostitution, but I think we can. But a woman can outright say to a man, and Ray, I think you can back me up on this. A woman.
Oh, look, he's calling for reinforcement, y'all.
You there, Ray? Yeah. Okay. So
It's just little on me. You need backup.
No. A woman 5 foot, 5 foot would look at a man that's 6'5".
I'm 5'3", so
no, I'm not talking to you. Yeah. Look at a man that's 6'5" and say, "You are a mother effing bitch," right? And the man must just take it.
He must just take it.
Oh yeah, that's the expectation.
Oh, you mean the expectation is that he wouldn't retaliate back?
Right, and then you look at her and say, "You fucking bitch," right? And she would say, "Oh, you gonna call me a bitch? All you guys gonna stand around? All you women are gonna stand around and let him call me a bitch?" Why she just referred to him as a bitch. She can throw out all the epithets.
You know what I love about this society?
Yeah,
is we calling that out. That's not right.
Calling
That's not right.
Out.
We're calling that out. I think that, yes, for example, if somebody is being toxic, okay, thankfully this generation has now defined things as toxic. That's toxic. You're being verbally abusive to anybody, man or woman, right? That's wrong. Now, wisdom would tell the person who's receiving that treatment to walk away. Do not become involved. Do not engage. That's wisdom. Right? Man or woman. Unfortunately, that's not always what happens, but I don't think she's right to put a man down. I think it's unfortunate that we're using a derogatory term against women in general, right? There's a lot of things that are said that are used to put women down, and used to put men down to suggest that they are like women, as if women are a lesser species, or as if there's something wrong with us. So this is kind of what I love about this generation. We calling all of this stuff out.
All right,
all of this is wrong.
Let's put a pin in it.
Being a woman should not be an insult, and shouldn't be used as an insult.
You see what you just did a while ago?
What's
I'm
that?
gonna point at what you just did a while ago. of course, rightfully so, you're a woman, so you're going to be in defense of a woman, right? But
I'm in defense of both sides.
no, hold
I
on.
don't want my son getting cussed out by a woman. And if she is cussing him out, she feels like that's okay. He has no business being with her.
Okay,
Trust that.
But here's what I said. Here's what I said. I said a 5-foot woman could call a 6'5" man, footman, a bitch, you effing bitch, right? And he looked back at her and said, "You calling me a bitch, you fucking bitch," right? And she was like, "Oh, you gonna stand around? Everybody, you gonna stand around and let this man call me a bitch?" While she just referred to him as a bitch, but she don't want the same thing to happen to her.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Well, a lot of people put stuff out they can't take. But you know, historically, why I think that is, where the man would be expected to be the bigger man, be the better person in that scenario, is because, historically, men have been leaders of this society. So as a leader, that wouldn't be appropriate. It's just like you as a parent. You know, you're a person just like your child is a person. You have feelings, you get offended. You know, your child can cuss you out, right?
Right.
But as the parent, you are expected to behave in a different manner because you hold a different position. And I think that's kind of historically where that's come from. A man, as you had put him, as obviously a lot larger than the woman, right? So physically, he's stronger. There's no doubt about it. So anytime you see somebody bigger picking on somebody smaller, it looks like a bully move. And I think historically that's why men have been maybe so prone to just take it. And then also, what kind of, society would put him down? What kind of man would, pick on a woman? It's like if a gnat is bothering you.
He didn't pick on her. She, okay.
Well, to retaliate or to respond back, right?
Okay. Sometimes in order, a bully come in all shapes and sizes.
Absolutely.
Right. So if a woman that's 5 foot use any epithets to a person larger than her, right? Racial or any stereotypes, any gender types, just any words that is negative, right? And the person that receiving this kind of attack from a smaller stature person, that smaller stature person is a bully, because that person, with the expectation that that's a man, he's 6'5", he should just take it and walk away. Do you think that she's going to stop the next time around if she's not put in her place the first time it happened?
So I think that experience sometimes is the best teacher. Sometimes somebody has to experience something versus being told, right? We can say, yo, that's not right. But then it does take somebody, slapping her back for her to be like, oh, let me think next time.
Okay.
That's possible. I think I just stand on what I originally said, though. I don't think she's right. She's not right for what she's doing.
So the man should just take it and walk away.
I didn't say that. Well, first off, if you're walking away, you're not taking it. You don't have to receive that.
No. All right. I'm trying to push your buttons here. So
okay, sorry. Let me make it easier. We'll talk about something that, this for me feels very black and white. I'm a very peaceful person. So if you're ever like giving off violence, whether that's verbally, physically, emotionally, all the ways that you can, be violent towards another person, I'm always going to suggest, to be on the peaceful side of that.
Okay.
I don't think violence is right. I don't think women should cuss out men. I don't think men should cuss out women.
You do know that's the norm nowadays. It's been that way. You're a peaceful person. You haven't been around any women that are toxic. I have. So I understand. I can.
I'm also an introspective person. So if I had a lot of toxic people in my circle, I would say, what is it about me that's attracting these things,
Sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it's that person's internal traumas, anxiety.
But once you see the flags, why are you still there?
Sometimes it's the situation bears itself in a way where you have to be there, because if you're not, other things could happen that you would then regret later on.
So it sounds like your personal experience might have had some complexities to it that you may or may not want to share. And maybe this is for another show.
Right.
Is another listen, we could
I will definitely share it at some point, right?
Okay.
But I can tell you in a personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
someone called me bitch.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more worse. There was more. There was more to that, and I took it the first couple of times it happened, and then the third time, I'm the type of person.
Now, did you address it each time?
I did.
Okay.
By saying don't say that.
Right.
Don't refer to me as such.
Mm-hmm.
And the person did it again.
Right.
And I responded with the similar response.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I did the third time?
What did you do?
I referred back to that person the exact way that she referred to me.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think she did?
It probably escalated.
She got super mad, looking for everybody to come to her aid because I refer back to her as a bitch. Actually, a fucking bitch. Right? You know, after that, she's never done it again. But the first time she did, and I said, don't do that, you know.
Right.
Don't refer to me as that.
So is your suggestion for all those who are getting verbally abused by their girlfriends is to give them a taste of their own medicine?
It doesn't have to be a girlfriend. It could
or
be
a spouse.
Could be a family
partner.
member. Could be
whomever.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to give them a dose of their own medicine. Right? Because the best way for a bully to stop bullying is to what?
I mean, you
stand up to them.
Yeah, like, you know, let them know that it's not, you know, you got me messed up, right?
Right.
So,
have you ever been bullied?
I don't. I mean, I wouldn't really consider it bullying. Maybe, but you know, when you're amongst your cousins, you know, in my culture, you do the dozens, which means basically, you know, you got a lot of quick ways to put somebody down or insult somebody. Right. So I was definitely on the receiving end of some of the dozens, as they call it. But I guess I wouldn't consider it bullying, you know.
How did you stop
my sister? I think she would consider herself to have been bullied.
Okay, yeah. And how did she deal with her bullies?
Honestly, she cried. Yeah.
Exactly. It will tear a person down unless they stand up to that bully. Right? Because if you don't, that bully would think that they have the total free range to be able to do it over and over and over again.
But what's so interesting here is I'm imagining you and this woman were in a relationship together, right?
No.
Was this a family member?
Yes.
Okay. Understand.
Right. I've been in a relationship.
But you had choice. You know that, right?
Of course, I had a choice.
You could have responded, like you said, with her own taste of medicine. Or you could have walked away,
which I did
and
twice.
Not engaged with.
I did.
I mean, as far as consistently, like sometimes, you know, people say sometimes you have to cut off people.
If you okay,
I think that
bullies only respond to the bullied standing up to them. Because if you are being bullied and you don't at some point stand up to your bully, what happened to your cousin will be what happened to everybody, right?
Well, it was my sister.
I mean, sorry, your sister.
And I get where you're coming from, because as a young person back then, that was what I was advised, like, you know, don't let them see that it's getting to you, and you know, but what I think is to be noted as an adult now, because we were kids, you know, as an adult, one of the beautiful things about being an adult is now you get to pick and choose who you spend your time with. And who you allow in your space, in your circle. And it's unfortunate that sometimes we have to make those type of decisions about our family, you know. But I again, being a peaceful person, I really stand by that. I don't want to be around you if I have to come up out of my character to be around you. Now, have I even been out of my character and have cussed somebody out before? Yes, I have. And in doing so, I had to acknowledge that I was wrong. I had to take accountability for that and do better, you know? So I would expect that from anybody. You know, we all have a shadow side, and we've all seen things that were probably not the best way to behave. And sometimes we mimic those behaviors, especially when things are escalated and people get emotional, right?
True.
But if you don't have someone with a growth mindset to recognize that maybe there's things I need to unlearn, right? Not only because I want to have a better relationship with you, but because I want to be the best version of myself, then I would suggest maybe those people are not appropriate for you in your circle. I don't think that if you feel you're in a corner to where you have to cuss this person out to get their respect.
No, it's not. It wasn't a matter. And for me, others, it's just
or to cease and desist.
Yes, it's
who wants to go through all of that?
It's
but people do though.
When a bully, when a bully is bullying, they're very persistent.
Now, were you young or you were an adult?
Adult.
You were an adult. Okay.
Yeah. Adult. And when a bully is being persistent and you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah.
Once they get a mile, they want 10 miles.
I understand.
And they will never stop until you stop them. It is whether it's a minute situation or a big war, you have to stop the bully. So when a person use a word like, derogatory word like bitch, or they say you mother, they say different things to get you to get a rise out of you,
right? And
you walk away. If they are that type of person, they're not going to stop. It doesn't matter if it's a spouse or a family member. Or
listen, so if you see, I consider my presence a value. Okay. And if you don't appreciate my presence, no problem. But I'm not going to keep giving it to you. I don't care who you are, But that's a stance that I can take now in my adulthood. I would have more challenged. I would not have been able to be so strong in that as a young person.
How would you have dealt with it as a young person?
I mean, as a young person, especially with the belief that, family's all you got, family's thicker, thicker than blood, and,
blood is thicker than water.
Blood is thicker than water. So yeah, I was more prone to deal with my family and accept them for who they are, where they are. Now I can still accept you for who you are and where you are. I just don't have to come around you, period. So if you want to talk to me like that, you got one time to show me who you are and how you think you're going to handle me. And then I don't have to come back around anymore, period.
How many chances you give a person?
I think it depends on the relationship, because, for example, going in and like if it's a man and woman relationship, usually ideally, nobody is, cussing each other out in the beginning stages, know. So if we've built something together and now we're going through life challenges, sometimes these challenges can bring out the worst in each other, right?
True.
So, okay, it happens. Now, are we acknowledging that this is not how we want to argue moving forward? Do I have somebody who's willing to grow in a different direction with me and how we handle disagreements? Okay. So now you got to give a learning curve, right? I don't know. Maybe, I'm a bat of averages. At least people get 3 times before the strike. You know what I'm saying? For the strikeout,
I that's exactly why I asked, because the first time for me, it's an anomaly. The second time, okay, this happened. Did it happen before? Maybe it was a mistake.
Right.
Okay, that's the anomaly. Second time it happened, okay, this is seeming a bit more purposeful. Okay. Third time it happened, then, okay, this wasn't an accident. It's not an anomaly. This is who the person is. And at that point, that's where I start beginning to get that anxiety of, okay, this is going to happen again. I need to put my foot down now, or if it wait until it happened again, and then I blast the person, right? So I usually give everyone 3 chances. I don't care who it is. From my daughter to my mother to my girlfriend, never been married, so I can't say my wife, right? I'll give everyone 3. I was
3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah, that's how I've always been, right? And once I get to that point, there's nothing you can say to me that is going to make me think differently of you, right? So I
think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I said it depends on the relationship. This is if I consider the relationship worth fighting for, right? You might not have that strong of a value for me. You could do it once and I'm done. Period.
Right.
You know, again, it just depends on who you are and what value do I put on the relationship that we have. Yeah, if I value the relationship, I'm going to try to work it out. I know that's not all of you, obviously, right? You wouldn't be in my life if you were just purely this bad person.
What gets you upset?
What gets me upset? I think, seeing kids abused, older people abused, that really touches me. You know, I don't know if it makes me upset, it makes me sad.
What about animals?
I mean, I don't really like to see violence in general, like, you know, just nonsense violence. For what? I really do believe on this live and let live thing, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could change anything, what would you change?
My economic status. No, I'm just playing.
No, don't be serious about that.
I think that's a profound question. It probably would take some meditation to give you a right. If I could change anything, right?
Yeah.
I would want to think on that because I want to get outside of myself, right? So my first thoughts was, ooh, what could I change that would improve me? But then something says, well, no, what could I change that would improve me and others? You know what? It's like the 3 wishes. You know, you only got 3 wishes on the with the genie in the lamp. Make sure you're making those wise, you know, requests. And that's how I feel about this question. If I could change anything.
How do you feel right now? Sitting here talking to me, how do you feel right now?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel good. I love conversations. I love dialogue. I love diversity of opinion. So I like the synergy.
You know, we went all over the place, just trying to
listen. We
grab
can do
straws
that.
out of the air, trying to.
Yeah, I do feel like I feel like you're trying to like figure out how you can poke the bear, so to speak. You looking for that? You know, I maybe just saying things like, you know. You know what? Generalization, I think, is probably what got me the most passionate out of all these of all the conversations that we've had so far in the topics. Is I think it's just really sad right now that, you know, that there is so much gender war conversations going on, and men have a blanket opinion and feeling about women, and vice versa. Women have a blanket feeling about men. There's a lot of generalization happening, and where it's true that there's probably a lot that we can improve on as a society, I just don't think that we're fully representing the whole society when we do that. And people who are more prone to be quiet, right, live their life peacefully and quiet, they're not getting represented.
Conservative people. Yeah, that typically those are the type.
Conservative.
Yeah, conservative.
It's weird because I don't know if I would consider myself conservative, but I've definitely been more quiet.
Don't get conservative tied up in politics. Conservative means people that are reserved, live a modest lifestyle. They're conserved. They're not out there being aggressive. They're very conservative. They do modest things. When they talk about politics now, you have people that are conservatives, and it means that they're on the other side of the bird. The same bird, 2 wings. One is left, one is right, and they say conservative and one is liberal. You know, liberal ones are the ones always the loudest, right? They scream for every new agenda that's out, and the conservatives
I think if you were a part of my circle, I would say, then you would know clearly where I stood on things, right? I wouldn't say I necessarily just keep it to myself. I speak up freely, just, you know, amongst my circle. I didn't feel compelled to start a radio show or a YouTube channel to talk about, you know, how men are, you know, being dogs, or first off, that wouldn't be my stance. But I guess I would say I wasn't inclined to go start a YouTube channel.
Do you think men are dogs?
No.
Do you think women are? What do you think in terms of the gender war? I'm trying to. I know. I already realize how you are. Right. I think I already kind of like pinned that down. Right. How you are.
Okay.
And the bantering is good. Right. And I know I cut you off.
I should run for president, y'all, right?
I wouldn't take it that far.
I fit the mold. I got a criminal record and everything.
Oh shit. So let's say we had guests in here. Would you be fair if you heard something like just off the wall, like that doesn't make sense, or would you try to justify it? Let's say a woman said something, and how would you take it if she? How should I make sure I say this the right way?
Like if she said something like men are cheap.
Yeah.
Like a generalized statement.
Like
right?
generalized, yeah. Would you be objectively truthful about, or subjectively? Would you be objective or subjective? Is what I should say.
I mean, we're having a round table. She's sharing her opinion, right? She's right about her reality.
Do you think opinions are right?
I think they're your reality. You know, you can't be wrong about what you experienced. I told you I'm a very introspective person. So if I'm attracting cheap people and I don't want that anymore, I'm going to say, what is it about me? What can I do differently to have a different experience? I could share my personal experience and say, well, I haven't found men to be cheap. In fact, that's one thing I love about men, the generosity and how they are so inclined to be nice to women. I love that. I love that about men. I love the courtesy of men. You know, you don't necessarily always see women getting the door for another woman, but a man will. I love that. I personally, I don't really have a generalized thought about men that's negative. I was very fortunate to have a lot of good men in my life, not even relationally. I'm talking about just within my family, so that when I did meet a character that was off, I knew it was that person, you know? And then thankfully, as I got older, I even learned that maybe it had nothing to do with me, you know? I think sometimes we get around people that mishandle us and we say, oh man, what's wrong with me? It can chip on your personal self-worth. But thankfully, I've had enough experiences and I've been graced to come this far to know, no, sometimes that issue relies with that person.
I have another question to ask.
Yeah.
When women dress a certain way and a man sees them and looks at them and they react as if the man is not supposed to look like, as if we're not men, what's your stance on that?
I think that the way you phrase that question
Is that
you guys, we have really gone far on this. I hit my alarm and everything.
What time is it?
It's 9:00.
Okay, we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Oh, you told me to reel it in.
Yeah.
The reel it in part.
So yeah, what do you think about women that dress a certain way and then men look at them and the woman
and how they respond?
Yeah,
I think,
if we're objectifying them.
Well, you could be, depending on how you're looking at them. You could be. So this is a great question for me because coming from Alaska, I realize our culture is a little bit more conservative in how we respond to women who don't dress so modestly, right? Where my personal experiences growing up before I came here to South Florida is, you know, if a girl, you know, was dressing a little risque or whatever, men did not gawk. They looked very discreetly, you know? And if a man was interested in you, he would approach you, but respect your personal space. Coming here to South Florida was a culture shock for me because not only are you guys looking, but your whole neck cracked, your mouth wide open, drooled out, your eyes bugged out your head, and you might feel compelled to grab my hand. And
has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Especially within the Jamaican culture. If I go to a nightclub that is predominantly, you know, Caribbean based, and there's gonna be a lot of Jamaicans in there, yeah, I'm gonna walk by and they're gonna grab my hand, for sure. We go together.
Would it be based on how you're dressed?
No, I don't think so. I think that's just a part, and you can correct me, but I think that's just kind of the culture. Like, if the man see what he like, no matter what she wearing, he might feel compelled to touch her.
I would say that
to grab her.
I would say that in the club is you're moving through so many people.
Right. They feel like that's appropriate in the context.
Yeah, in the context.
I just that was new for me.
I'm talking
that
about
doesn't happen in every other parts of the world.
I'm talking about on the street when a woman dresses a certain way where she has her body parts showing, and the man start looking. Is the man objectifying the woman, or is the woman objectifying herself first before the man gets the opportunity to look at her for her to even think?
Yeah. So I personally feel that fashion and how people dress is a personal self-expression move. So I don't look at it like you're objectifying yourself. Especially here in South Florida, it's so hot. There's a whole culture that says you don't really need clothes. You know, a little bit of G-string is all you need, honestly, to be legal in public. And it's kind of like the render and the Caesar was do this, when in Rome, So it was just a culture shock for me. But I kind of participate in it now. Like, I definitely don't wear all the layers I used to wear in Alaska.
Like for me, right? I'm over seeing women dressed in what I call yoga clothes.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen it so much. I've been seeing it for the last 20 years, and it's just gotten worse and worse. Where you could see the
poom princess.
You can.
Why you say like that? So
it's so up there. It's as if it's her skin, right? I'm just so.
They're so comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
just mad you can't let your. I'm not gonna finish that statement, but okay.
I wouldn't.
So what you're saying is you feel that okay, so you're seeing the whole outline of a woman,
and
all right?
Yeah, and I think.
And what are your thoughts on that?
When I see the whole outline of a woman, there's nothing left for the imagination. I love women. I think they are the gift to mankind, right? And if you're a straight man, you understand what I mean, right?
Okay, yeah.
And when I see a woman that's dressed and, and I can, man, she looks so good, right? Something is left to the imagination where I can say, she's interesting. She looks elegant. I like what I'm looking at. But when I'm looking at her and I'm like seeing everything, and then everybody's seeing everything, I'm like, I don't want that. That's a she belong to the streets type of scenarios. I like when a woman have certain aspects of her that's left to the imagination, because I've seen it so much. It's like, don't get me wrong, there are guys that love seeing that. When I was younger, I was like, man, whoa, I get up on that, right? But it has gotten so
predominant.
No. Worse, because like I just said, you can see the pum shape and the camel toe and the ass cheeks is like as if it was just painted on.
Right.
I'm just so like over it. Everything is out, especially going to the gym. When last have you been to the gym?
I was there last Friday.
Do you see how the woman dress? Do you see how the woman dressed in the gym?
Honestly, I haven't. I know what you're talking about. I just personally didn't see it at my gym, and I'm so into what I'm doing. I'm probably not noticing too heavy, and I'm not a guy, so I'm not looking for all the regions and the crevices.
We don't look for it.
But in general, if you're saying stuff that's just like out, like undeniably in your face, funny enough, no. But I go to the gym like at 5 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning.
You don't
Those
see
people
that.
are serious.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't see
they're
that.
not there for the Instagram pic.
Yeah, you don't see that. You go like 9, 12 o'clock somewhere, 2, 3 o'clock. You'll see that. Yeah, there are girls that I'm there pumping some weight, and she'll come. The bench is right there at the gym now. They start trying to make the bench closer to the wall.
Okay.
Right. So because what was happening is that we'll be on the bench pumping the weights.
Right.
Right. And the mirrors. Let's say the mirror is like right here, and the bench is like right here. So there's a big space here. This literally happened to me and other guys at the gym. We're pushing the weight. Right. And then when we get up, there's a woman in front of us, bent over, right, doing the lifts and everything.
Deadlifts.
Yeah, right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why would you come right here in front of me while I'm lifting the weights to do this when you could just go 3 foot over and I wouldn't get up and see you? And it started annoying
Wait,
me.
do you feel like women are attacking you?
No, it's not about
Are we being overly aggressive in our fashion and how
women?
we
Of course,
out?
women are doing that. Of course, women are doing that. But I'm like, okay, I'll give you a scenario. I've been to the gym, right?
Well, I'm just curious, like, how do you feel about it? Personally, now as a man, I understand for you and how you would select your woman, you'd want her to be a little bit more discreet in how she dressed. That's how it sounds.
Right.
But like you said, some men love it.
Yes.
They ain't got no problem with it. But for you personally, you would want someone who dresses a little bit more modestly, it sounds like.
Most guys prefer that. I'm telling you.
You know what I think is interesting, though? And I love that you're saying this, and maybe going back to people with your opinion need to jump on the mic. And then again, you have to watch your behavior, because I think women are being reinforced to dress how they want to, right? Because of how they're being received. I think, you know, for a man to gawk and say, oh my God, and give her all this attention and, you know, basically positively reinforce what he's seeing, you're not going to get a changed behavior, you know? And I think the same is true for anything we want to see on the man side of things. If us as women, if we want to see things differently, then we need to reinforce that which we feel we want.
Let me ask you a question. You have any tattoos?
I do.
Okay. How many tattoos do you have?
I have 3.
Okay. You know there's some guys that don't date women with tattoos.
Sure.
Okay. Ray, jump on the mic for a second. What do you think about women that dress very scantily?
I could fit that.
Huh?
I dress pretty sexy. Yeah.
I know.
What's that, brother?
Okay.
That's your intro, Ray? I want an intro next time.
Go ahead. You going to say something, Ray?
Brother, what's that?
I'll wait until
What's
it's
that,
done.
brother?
There are more of us than a lot of women don't understand. The ones that you ever hear the term Pookie and Ray Ray?
No.
Okay, Pookie, you have the Chads and you have the Pookie and the Ray Ray. The Pookie and the Ray Rays are the guys that go after girls that dress scantily clad, everything out there, because all they want to do,
skin out.
That's all they want to do. They just want to hit skins.
Right.
Right? But they will never wife them up. They'll make them feel like they're being wifed up, but they're never wifed up. Right? And the ones that the man end up being with is somebody that they can take home to their family. They can introduce to their mother, their sisters, right? And there are so many of us out there. There's the ones like me now that will just say it outright, right? Like if I'm walking down the strip and I see a girl dressing, I don't even look. I was like, it's just like a turn on, like, I'm so tired of that, right? And then there are the guys that they will look, but they will only for the sex. That's it. There are so many of us out there. I've spoken to young guys in their 20s, and they'll say, I fuck her. But I'll never introduce her to my friends. Right? So I asked you that question because I want to get your feedback, right?
But what is the question?
Like, I asked you, what do you think about women that dress like that?
I think how people dress is a self-expression. I think it's an individual self-expression.
So then wouldn't you say now when guys look at them and they get mad when the guys look at them that they already objectify themselves before the man objectify them? And then when they get upset.
Oh, okay, I do remember that. Yeah. No, actually, I don't agree with that. No, I can understand why you would think she's objectifying herself. But even if she is, hold on, Ray, hold on. Let me get my thought out. And even if she was, right, that is autonomous to you and how you decide to behave, right?
To the woman?
No, so
or to the man?
I'm saying this. in response to the woman and the man. I
Yeah.
think that everybody has the right to dress as they want to, right?
Uh-huh.
So, for example, you as a guy, if you wanted to wear some, you know, this is a big trend right now. These what do they call them? The little coochie cutter shorts that men are wearing. I don't know if you've seen this or heard about this, right?
No.
Okay, well, this is some men are doing this. Okay, everybody is doing fashion how they
And
see
it's
fit.
not a gym shorts.
It looks like those back. Remember when our ball players way back in the day used to have them little short shorts when they played?
Oh
From like the
yeah, I've been
Harlem.
seeing some guys
Yeah,
dressed like that
it's
now.
kind of like that, you know, way past the knee, you know, basically just right underneath the genitalia area.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of guys like, and
Yeah.
even painting their nails and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been common for a while now. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we're coming to an age where people are feeling more inclined to do things outside of the norm, right? And we're all gonna have our personal opinions about that. But me personally, I don't think, because if a man came dressed in a way that I didn't prefer, I'm just not gonna entertain him. I'm gonna go find the man I do like. And I feel that's how I feel about it. I think that
All right, here's one.
if a man is drooling and giving a girl attention, I think he might be into that.
All right, here's one that might pull
You
your
can
cold
like
card.
what you like.
Here's one that might pull your cold card, and you might.
But you said she got mad because he was like, dang.
Yeah, women get all the time. Many of them get mad when a guy look at them based on how they're dressed. They're like, "What are you looking at?" And they give him that side eye or ask him those kind of questions.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, it can be a little annoying. Like maybe she didn't get all dressed up like that for you. You know?
Okay, wait.
Maybe she don't want the response from you.
Okay, so we getting somewhere now. I'm getting somewhere now.
You're
with
getting
you.
somewhere,
So,
all
yeah, I'm
right.
finally getting somewhere.
Where you
It's
wanna go?
long, but I'm getting somewhere, and then we're gonna wrap it up, and then.
All right,
So,
preacher man, bring it home.
So when a woman dress, is she dressing for herself or is she dressing for attention?
I think you would have to ask that woman. You want to ask me?
When you dress,
up?
when you dress up, do you dress for yourself or you dress for the attention that it could possibly bring to you?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. So I pick out what I want to wear first, what makes me feel good, feel confident and happy in what I'm wearing. And then depending on where I'm going, I'm going to make a decision based off that as well, right?
Okay.
So if I like to dress, you know, if I'm, for example, if I'm going out, I'm gonna dress to be more so a part of the crowd versus being hide away in a corner. I don't go out like in sneakers and a t-shirt and try to be unassuming. I'm more so I love color. I'm gonna be colorful, and that tends to get attention, and I'm okay with that.
All right. So your boobs out. Or you're wearing a tight clothes, and then you get the attention, and the attention is not from, maybe you see a guy that you find attractive, right? And the guy that finds you,
I was at right now.
the guy that you find attractive, the guy that finds you attractive, you don't find him attractive.
Happens all the time,
right? But then the guy that you find attractive don't find you appealing because of how you're dressed.
Sure.
How would you take that? Has that ever happened to you?
I think to each his own.
Has that ever happened to you?
Have I ever liked somebody and they weren't interested in me because of how I dressed?
Yeah.
No one has ever told me that. And I don't really put myself out there to be rejected, honestly,
Can you handle rejection?
I don't want to. Ray,
we're finally getting somewhere with her.
Yeah, I'm not the girl that's gonna hit on a guy. If I think a guy is cute, I'm gonna be that bashful person blushing in the corner. It's just not my temperament.
Can you handle rejection?
I mean, I can handle it. Obviously, if you don't like me, you don't like me. I mean, that's the world. But
do you get petty?
Is it gonna hurt your
when
feelings?
you've been rejected?
Probably, huh?
Have you ever? I asked you if you ever been rejected before.
Yes.
And you've never been rejected.
So I was rejected as a kid, and it did hurt my feelings. So I said, "Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it."
You think you'll be able to handle rejection now as an adult? If you like a
Yeah.
guy and he doesn't like you, and you just outright tell
I
him,
mean, in fairness, like I've entertained a man who's approached me, so you would think, oh, he likes me. And then in the courting stages, we're just not fit for each other. I think that's fair. You're not for everybody, and everybody's not for you. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. You can be a great husband and not be my husband. So no, I don't take that type of rejection personal at all.
But if somebody you like,
but if I thought somebody was cute and then someone went over to him and was like, hey, what you think about that girl? And he was like, ooh, hell nah. I'd be like, dang. But I mean, I would get over it. I wouldn't take it.
So you wouldn't lash out?
Lash out? No.
Okay.
Lash out for what?
All right.
No, I've had that happen to me.
Well, man, lash out at you.
Yeah, they're so sweet and want to get your number and all that, and then you say no. Now you the B word.
Oh,
Now they want to fight you.
Yeah, a girl did that to me in the gym.
Oh, a girl cussed you out for not talking to her? Yeah.
I talked about it, yeah.
But see, this is what I love and appreciate about men, because men predominantly take on that weight of responsibility to engage a woman, and they have to take the brunt of rejections. And it's not easy. I respect it. So usually when a man approaches me, I'm nice. Even if I'm not interested or I'm not dating, I'm not gonna be rude. Yeah, definitely not. And I think equally, I'd probably be hurt if somebody was rude to me or embarrassed.
Yeah, that's different. Being rude is different. But but when you just say a while ago, if you've been rejected, it's like, I don't want to.
I don't want to be rejected. Who wants to be rejected?
Us man, we have to deal with it all the time.
Yeah, and I think maybe your mentality about it could be different. It's a numbers game. But usually, if a girl, I don't know. Again, if I like you, I'm gonna just give you some eye contact, let you know I'm okay for you to come over and talk to me. Yeah, I might be a little welcoming with my energy and my eyes. Now, in general, I'm a welcoming person, so people tend to feel okay to approach me, you know,
right.
and I'm okay with that. Like, I get that's what comes with having a welcoming spirit.
Right.
And I'm not mad about it, because it welcomes men and women. So I get to network and make a lot of connections.
Okay.
But I do understand that it takes a lot to put yourself out there with the potential of being rejected. So I tend to be very mindful of that when men engage me.
Okay. So what do you think?
And when I am scantily cladly dressed, I understand that a certain type of attention is going to come with that.
Okay.
And I wouldn't expect maybe a certain caliber of man to take me serious at that particular context, of the situation. Now, it can happen, right? Because, of course, I consider myself to be a good value of a person. So, and I like to dress how I like to dress, and surely there's a man that likes it too. I don't think that's off the plate or off the table.
I have one question before we say, okay, let's wrap this up, because there was a wrap-up question I was going to ask you, and then we can just
Stop the cap.
Right. It's the most southern goodbye.
All right. So he just stole my thought.
Oh no.
Man. It just
Stupid.
Yeah, thank you, man. I just go, if it comes back, it comes back, right? Maybe it comes another time. Sitting here having a conversation with me, what is your feedback? Is it you like it? Is it something that you could see yourself constantly do? I remember what I was going to ask you now. You forget the cameras are there now, right?
Forget the cameras are here. Okay.
No.
Just look at. Okay.
No, you forget. You've have that the cameras have been rolling, because at first you were nervous. You remember?
Oh yeah, in the beginning, yeah.
You're no longer nervous.
No, I got comfortable.
Okay, good. Now that we've had conversations all over the place, we're just talking about it. How do you feel? This is something that you think you could do more often?
Yeah, I could definitely. I mean, again, I love conversation.
What's your evaluation of me having conversation?
I think that if you want to poke the bear, so to speak, if you're trying to get a rise out of people, maybe instead of asking them how they would feel if something happened that was derogatory, maybe you would just come out and be that derogatory person, or say something derogatory. I think that's a better way. I don't know if that's your character or your personality style, but I do feel like you're fishing. You're like, okay, well, let me try to get her to say something controversial. Well, I'm pretty sure I said a lot already that was controversial.
No,
Just,
no,
but
no. Let me cut you
no,
off there.
okay.
No, I was just trying to understand you while the cameras are rolling, how you would respond to me asking certain questions. I didn't want to say I don't know you. I respect you enough just by talking to you a couple of times for me to just come out and just say something derogatory, because that I would think that would be disrespectful because I don't know you that to even
Well,
do
not
that,
to me,
right?
but maybe for example, I had someone say this to me not too long ago about, you know, women aren't as good in finances as men. Women can't handle money. Men should handle money in the relationship, and men should be head of the household because he's the man for no other reason. And the way that he said it, that was a little bit derogatory, right? Because to say women aren't good with money that's not really fair, especially me with the background in finance. So I'm gonna challenge him on that, So I guess that's what I meant, to say something that might be considered a little ignorant, but people really do have these feelings,
Right, that's true.
So when you put it out there like that, that might strike a nerve with somebody. Like, wait, what?
It was more. It wasn't more so of trying to do that to you. That's for future. It was more so of trying to get an understanding
Stay tuned,
of
y'all.
how you would respond to certain question. I wanted to do it in a way that's.
But I would respond to that scenario that I just brought up the way I was responding this whole entire conversation. I don't believe in generalizations. Now, do things commonly happen? Absolutely. I'm not negating that these realities exist. I'm just saying it's not all realities. And
Are you willing to push for it when someone comes in and say,
I
"Hey,
have to. That's why I'm here.
Okay, that's what I want.
I am
to challenge
my
them.
presence here is the challenge.
Yeah.
Because for as much as I hear commonly goes on in our culture, I know I am the antithesis. I guess I'm not that. I'm gonna just say it like I was gonna say, but I'll just not to go that deep. But for the majority of a lot of things, I'm just not in alignment with a lot that I hear going on.
Okay.
And I think it's important for people like myself to stand up and to be recognized and make a wave.
Okay, cool. So you feel is this your first time on camera?
It's not my first time on camera. I think this is my first interview. I feel definitely like I've been not under investigation, but it's kind of given that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think I kind of gather how you are in terms. I know. Pardon me. We've spoken on the phone a couple of times. Actually, we spoke at length on last week Tuesday.
We spoke on the phone once.
Last week Tuesday.
Yeah.
For about an hour and a half or so.
Was it that long? Yeah.
Because you called me right after 1, and we was on the phone until around 3:15 or something like that.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Yeah, because you gave me an introduction to your website. We navigated and looked at each of your shows.
Right.
Yeah. You're right.
About an hour and a half. And then
shared the vision. I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now,
here we are.
Here we are. And what do you think?
I think maybe that hour and a half investment worked. You got me here at your table.
Okay, what do you think, movie? Is it something that you think you could see yourself doing more consistently?
Yeah, I think I would love to. We could definitely engage back and forth, and it'll be nice to have other people come and share their opinions, right?
Right.
Because maybe I'm not an extremist on a certain topic.
Right.
But if you want that to be represented, we should bring somebody else in.
Right.
Right.
Okay, cool. All right. So Ray, it sounds like she's into getting on board with what we're doing. We're a bit of a man of.
I'll be open.
You'll be open? What does that mean?
I'm open to see what would be all entailed with that.
Okay. we've been talking about manosphere things around here, and we're going to be talking about gender issues.
Manosphere,
Yeah,
okay.
gender issues.
Yeah.
Of course, you've navigated the website, like you say, so we're going to be talking about money and social issue, reviewing cases, talking about it, probably bring some lawyers in here and talk about cases, or,
yeah, I think that's more fair and appropriate when you start saying this is facts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You start waving around your opinion and your anecdotal experiences and saying this is facts. Okay, that's right. It's a fact that that's your reality and that was your experience.
Here's what I try or tend to not to do most of the majority of the time is not speak from anecdotal experiences. It speaks from facts. If a lot of time when I talk about something,
but you have to recognize our conversations today were predominantly anecdotal.
Of course, because I'm trying to get a
where my worldview is
yes.
and my stance on
right.
different topics.
Right. That's what I was trying to. I was just trying to ascertain that if I wasn't just like.
Yeah, I told you I felt like I was being investigated, y'all.
Yeah. I was trying to ascertain that, and so I did, and I think I like
Yeah,
I like
feel
it.
like you got enough information out of me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I got enough information about it. I think it was something that we can see.
Well, yeah, I was saying, how do you feel about my voice being seated here at the table?
I like.
Yeah,
you have a voice for, you ever hear the saying you have a voice for radio?
No, I mean, in general,
you have a voice for film.
I have a voice for film.
Yeah, you have the face and the voice for film.
Okay,
what
kind of film?
What kind of film?
Yeah.
We're filming right now.
Oh, okay.
No, not that type of film. No, not that type of film.
No, we need to clarify.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
I mean, we were all over the place.
So you say you want
I'm just bringing it back around. We were talking about that's right.
All right. So I guess it's time to wrap up, Ray. So we can shut this down.
Oh, Ray takes us out.
Yeah, Ray takes us out, and I guess we're done. I think we had a good conversation.
Yeah, Shy, it was a pleasure.
Yeah,
it was good. The conversation was good. Ray, I love the little sound drops. It definitely helped make things, interesting, fun, and entertaining.
Yeah,
I think the more we, converse together, more of that fun, entertaining side of myself would probably come out. Makes a little bit of jokes.
Yeah,
here.
because when we're not on camera, that fun.
I'm very jovial.
Yeah,
I got all kind of jokes for you. But again, I guess I've sat down here and I felt. Oh, you don't think I'm jovial? What you trying to say, Ray? Give this man a mic.
Oh, he has one back there. He's just not saying anything.
Oh, okay. Don't be hiding back there now.
Yeah.
But no, I did. I felt like I was like, oh Lord, he's asking me all these questions. What is he trying to get to?
I saw your eyes moving all over the place, and and when you start going like this,
where are we going with all of this?
Yeah. I was just trying to just.
You gotta learn how to make your guests feel more relaxed.
Yeah. Well,
I wasn't trying to.
I wasn't trying to make you feel. I wasn't trying to make you feel relaxed.
Oh, okay. You was trying to get me to feel anxious.
Yeah.
All right. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. So then, as soon as you get more relaxed, that side of you that you portray when you're not on camera will come out.
Yeah.
Because you see, we're getting ready.
Kid in me
you see, we're getting ready to wrap up right now, and the kid in you start
it's
coming.
bubbling up.
That's what I want. But I just had to get to, Yeah. All right. So.
Good job, buddy. You did it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
There you go.
No.
But hold up, wait though. I'm just curious in the audience though. How did I, as a woman, handle this pressure?
Let's see what they will. Okay, 1 second.
I mean, according to your theory, I probably should have been throwing a microphone by now.
Yeah, we don't have much people watching. This is why we're gonna do the campaign so we can have a lot of people watching, right? So. All right.
Have you guys started sharing the news about the giveaway?
No, not.
Okay.
No,
I won't tell.
No.
Pretend you didn't hear that, guys.
So, we remember all the stuff I showed you already that we did, and if I showed you the flyer.
No.
I never showed you the flyer.
No, so I guess you guys, we have things to. Wait, are you sharing this with the audience?
No. I'm just gonna show you.
So how you close out? You want to close it out first?
Yeah, Ray's gonna take it over. Ray's gonna close it out.
Take it over, Ray.